preparing live for YouTube. I just need to make sure the audio on YouTube is switched off. Just give me a couple more seconds. Okay, that's it. And now I will hit the record button and we shall get started officially. Record. Fantastic, it's recording as well. So dear Africa business jump starters, coming and joining us across the world, as we have just read out, from Kenya to Nigeria, from South Africa to Denmark, Hawaii was in the room, USA, of course, as always, Canada, UK, Germany, Switzerland, Dubai, from really across the world today, Egypt, Tanzania, Namibia is in the room. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. We're coming together to empower each other and to learn how we can do business with Africa the right way. So a very warm welcome today, and also to all of you joining us on YouTube. And we will dive into the training now. This will be then joined by a Q&A later after our presentation. With me in the room are also our co-trainers, Ate Atabong, originally from Cameroon, based in Norway, and Pamela Anyoti, who is originally from Uganda, based in Brussels, and my support officer, Crystal, operations manager and support officer, Crystal Hansen, originally from Jamaica, based in Florida. So as you can see, even my team is across the world, based across the world, and we are a wonderful community, and I'm so grateful for everyone who is joining us today. So I will start the screen share. I will start the presentation, and I will check in a minute with you if you can see it properly. All right, and share. Okay, Luke and Annette, can you see the screen? Luke and Annette, give me a thumbs up. Luke De Koning and Annette Aminasek, can you see the screen? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Annette. I appreciate it. And we'll go. Okay, fantastic. So again, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, right now we are 220 people live in the Zoom room. More are joining, and many more are joining on YouTube as well live, which is absolutely fantastic. I want today to give you a training about how to import and trade food and skincare products from Africa. Start making money importing African agribusiness products into the world, even when a pandemic hits. This is our theme today, and we're going to spend considerable amount of time to really dive into some important details in this regard. Now, we're going to look at wonderful products that Africa can offer to the world. And this is just a quick selection of the products we're going to dive into, in particular, as I've mentioned, food and natural skincare products. And I will also explain why we are choosing these products strategically for our success when doing business in Africa. First of all, I want to let you know that the importing from Africa or trading with Africa is really something that everyone can do, no matter where in the world you're based or what your budget is. And I want to put this out there because some of you are on the continent, so this equally applies to intra-African trade. Some of you want to move back to Africa. Again, this applies equally on the continent for intra-African trade and anywhere else you live in the world. I really believe that this is a very, very important training. I will also give you some important context why this particular training is so relevant in these times that we are really facing right now. And I would suggest that you focus and really pay attention and take notes, so that you can utilize some of the information and the insights gained today for making your next steps. So again, most of you know me, of course. For those of you new to my work, my name is Dr. Harnet. I am a certified business trainer. I'm an Africa business coach and consultant. I'm an entrepreneur. I run 2 companies, one that I have started at my kitchen desk 7 years ago in Germany and the UK. And now I also run a second company, which we have started here in Kigali, Rwanda. I'm a speaker, an author, and champion for Africa, and a proud mom of 2 sons who are just sitting upstairs and hopefully are going to be quiet and taking care of our dogs in case they bark. I have been featured on Forbes Africa, the Africa Business Club of KLM Air France, the renowned Africa CEO Forum. I have been featured on BBC Tigrinya, the Africa Business Conference in Harvard University, where I was leading a panel. And I've also spoken at Google in Silicon Valley. So this is just to give you a little bit of context that I hope you're in good hands and that we are taking a very professional approach towards the training here. What I want to quickly put out there, because I forgot to say this in the very beginning, we had a few unusual power cuts yesterday here in my area in Kigali. And just in case that happens during the presentation, keep calm, we'll be back, stay where you are. I think Ate and Pamela would be able to continue the conversation if they can unmute themselves. Otherwise, just stay where you are, and usually these power cuts don't take long here, 10 to 20 minutes, and we shall be back. But hopefully we are going to have an uninterrupted discussion and training. So before I dive into the training in regards to how to import food and natural skincare products from Africa and how to trade them in Africa, I want to give you a little bit of context. And I believe that this context is very important to understand why there is really huge value in this particular business model that we are discussing today. When we're looking at the world at large, in particular Western economies and even the Far East, we are seeing a huge amount of business owners and entrepreneurs going out of business. And this is really becoming a trend that continues. I've seen video footage in the United Kingdom, for example, where entire high street shops and even some of the big brands that have been there for decades have gone out of business, or they have closed their branches in London, in Coventry. The same, of course, is happening in the United States and across the world as well. So here in Africa, absolutely as well, especially businesses that were in the tourism and hospitality industry have been hit very, very hard. But that is a trend that unfortunately is not really slowing down. On top of it, we are now seeing a huge supply chain crisis unfolding across the world, where we see millions of containers being stuck at ports, be it at the ports of China or the ports of California. And these containers cannot be shifted for various reasons. A big reason is that there are not enough people in the trucking industry anymore, and truck drivers that want to take on these containers. And what we are seeing now are these containers are sitting there, causing a complete supply chain distraction. And we are seeing already empty shelves across the world. Now, on top of that, China, which is one of the top economies, especially when it comes to manufacturing and trading, the whole importing from industry in the world has been always importing from China to a great extent. And now we can see the Chinese economy crumbling as well. It started with the real estate sector in China, and we're seeing more and more companies, international companies, leaving China as the economy there crumbles. On top of it, we have a phenomenon going on that is called the Great Resignation. So we saw, of course, millions of people being stuck at home and working from home. And the West is now experiencing a trend where people simply do not want to go back to work. They don't want to go back to their offices. They don't want to run the rat race anymore now that they have kind of tasted the benefits of having a slower life and working from home. So this entire trend of the Great Resignation then leads in immense worker shortages across the Western world. That also has really led to the fact that there are now not enough truck drivers at the ports that can shift the containers. Furthermore, an energy crisis is unfolding. We had major power cuts already across the world, especially in China. I don't know if you have heard about this and how much you're really informing yourself, but parts of China have been sitting completely in the dark. The power is being rationed in China already. We had incidents where entire streets went completely dark during rush hour. People were stuck in their cars for hours and hours because it was complete chaos without traffic lights and without street lights. But also manufacturing firms have been asked to ration their power. And then that, of course, means that they cannot manufacture goods that the world wants to an extent that they have done in the past, because power is being rationed. A similar power and energy crisis is unfolding, unfortunately, also in other parts of the world, including in the West, United States, Europe, Canada, where people are already experiencing high energy costs, and that will only rise extremely during the winter. We see some energy costs rising up to 300, 400, 600% in some countries. So that, of course, will be disastrous for a lot of people, especially those who are already struggling with their budgets. Furthermore, we have a trade war and really positioning for the superpower in this world going on between the United States and China, where we can see also now a policy climate, and that is being more and more hostile, be it among nations. And of course, once people are facing empty shelves, power cuts, and expensive prices, we can assume that unrest will increase in the streets, especially in the West, where we have been very much depending on a functional system. That is the system we all, got to know in terms of, in terms of the consumer system, and that is kind of getting a big hit now. So many of us, have been kind of waiting for the end of pandemic, and I can hear a lot of business owners and people just generally saying, oh, when is this going to finish? When is the pandemic finishing? There's new waves of coronavirus coming up again in Europe, and I think in the US as well. New viruses and so on, and variants, I wanted to say. And an end is not really in sight, but even if it was, and we are kind of positive that things are, manageable, and the pandemic will maybe just go on for another few months or another year, the reality really is what we have seen right now. That the world is in a crisis that goes beyond the coronavirus. And whereas the media at large, international world media, is informing us by and large about the pandemic, and they're holding back about real information that is unfolding across the world in terms of other crises that are happening. You know, we need to be aware that the story is much more complex than we think. And this is important to understand because the world is changing, and therefore the way we are showing up in the world and the way how we do business in the world needs to change as a result. So I've been really stressing on this since the new year. For those of you who were in my January 2021 big reset live session that I gave, you know, this kind of information has been out there for the last year and a half and even earlier, but it's only now that it becomes so bad that even government can't really hide anymore what's happening. So what we're really facing, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, is not just a health crisis. What we are really facing is a health crisis plus a supply chain crisis plus a labor crisis plus an energy crisis. And this one is next on the horizon, which is a global food crisis. It is the next forecast. And, you know, I really don't want to paint a black or, you know, a picture in this regard. But what I want to let you know is that all the people who have forecast the other kind of crisis and they became true are now saying that we should be aware of a food crisis. And the reason why a food crisis will most probably occur globally, and now we're not talking about starving children in Africa or India, but a food crisis that will equally affect the rich nations. And that is number one, because the manufacturing in the strong manufacturing economies is really going down. Number two, as we said, we have a labor crisis. That's why we have millions of containers stuck. And then number three, of course, climate change, which will also impact food production. But very, very important also is the energy crisis, because you need energy and the production of certain chemicals for the production of fertilizers. And this is how food production on large scale, especially when we're looking at the large scale food production and the cash crops across the world, they're heavily depending on fertilizers. And these fertilizers cannot be produced without enough energy. And this is really the context, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. Now, whenever we see crises, there's of course a lot of risk involved, but also a lot of opportunity. But what I want you to understand, and this is why I give you this context, because some of us are still asleep. The masses certainly are still asleep. And I will do another live session around the new year. And I'm also doing one next week, by the way, for our Academy members on how to really prepare in detail, because the world is changing, and unless we are prepared, it's going to hit us hard, every individual. And that then means that if you are waiting for Corona to disappear so you can kind of go back to your life that you're used to, or if you are you're just going about things as you usually did for the last 5, 10, and 20 years, well, then that's a problem. Because as we have just seen, we are facing several crises as a global community. And as such, it is so paramount that number one, you're aware of it. And number two, you prepare for it. And one way to prepare, without going into detail, I just want to give you a little bit of context, but one way to prepare is that you have a kind of a disaster risk management in place in your family, in your community, as it relates to energy, as it relates to food, as it relates to income. And diversifying your income is one of the most crucial and important steps that you can, and I would even say must take at this point in time. So for those of you who are really depending on one income, possibly, from a job you're still working on, or even one income in your business, and then you are possibly having access to one or two bank accounts where this income is going through, that is a huge risk. And I want you to be aware of it. That's why I'm stressing this. I want you to be aware of it. It's a huge risk because financial systems, I forgot to say that we also have a financial crisis unfolding. I forgot to mention that. Fiat is, the US dollar and everything, the other currencies are slowly dying. We are moving into the digital currencies. And that then means that if you are depending on one income or one financial institution like a bank, your risk factor is very big. It is so important, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, that in these times of crises, unrepresented crises, where I just want to say that some experts are comparing our times to the Weimar Republic, which was 1929, all right? And that is the situation we had in Germany and Europe, then leading into the Third Reich under Hitler. So they're comparing the crisis to the Weimar Republic in 1929. And there is one very well-known financial expert who actually said it's comparable to the fall of Rome. And that just needs to hit home for some of us. And therefore, diversifying your income was always a good thing to do, especially if you want to become rich. By diversifying your income right now, it's not just a strategy to become rich. It now becomes fast a strategy to survive or to make sure that the crisis does not affect your family and yourself. So, within this context, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, I'm leading this web class. And I want this web class to be relevant and actionable. And because I want it to be relevant, that's why I have, put a strong context out there, because this is really the context in which you will be operating. And I hope that you take the time out to reflect. I know some of you are informing themselves and are preparing, but the masses, and therefore most probably the majority of you, are just going about life as you always have. And I am putting it out there, that will not suffice. So, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, are you ready? I mean, of course, I've already started with the training, really, but I'm setting the context, and now I want to show you the details of how to import from Africa. But are you ready? First of all, are we listening? Are we taking notes? Are you aware? By the way, I really believe that Africa will be in a much better position to buffer against the crises unfolding in the world. Partly for the fact that this was the normal for a great part in Africa, and therefore communities here are much more robust to find ways to mitigate that, or to find ways to manage such situations. But those of us who are in the Western systems in particular, And we're used to everything is being provided and everything is being there. Whatever we want, we just need to click a button or go to a shop and we can get it. In terms of services or products, for us, it will be tough. Okay, so are we ready? I overlooked, sorry. Can I see a big yes? Are you ready? Hopefully a big yes. Yes, ready? Let's hear from you. Yes, are we listening? Are we taking notes? Hopefully some insights already. Yes, let's go, fantastic. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to go back to my screen share. So, are you ready? Not for the fast sprint, but as we have learned right now, for the long marathon. And there's no one better in marathon and far distance running where you need, really to stay in the game for the longer term than our African athletes. Okay, so let's go. First of all, I want to show you quickly the value chain. And I know many of you are interested in various areas of the value chain, which is in the very beginning, we have the primary production, which may be, the production of agricultural crops. And you may be interested to do that in Africa, or you may already be in the field. And then another part of the value chain, of course, is then the processing of food, so it can have a longer shelf life and you're adding value to the produce by processing it. And further down the line, of course, the packaging of the food, the branding of it, and then hopefully putting it into supermarket shelves. And you can come in all three parts of this value chain. And our co-mentor in our importing program, Pamela, she's in the room right now. I mean, she's a woman powerhouse, Pamela, if I may say. She is doing the entire value chain. So she's doing the agricultural production with farmers in Uganda, and then the processing, and then the high-end branding and the retailing of those products in the West. Having said that, for those of you who are starting out for the first time, I highly, highly suggest that you start with one arm of the value chain. It may be the primary production, agricultural crops somewhere in Africa. It may be the processing, where you buy off farmers and you're focusing simply on the processing. Or it may be that you're starting the trade of products that have already been produced for you. And you are taking those products to find access to new markets for these suppliers. And today we're discussing the last step. And of course, there are many steps in the value chain. I really just simplified it for you. But today we want to focus on the last part. And that means we have producers on the continent of Africa of various products that you can trade and import wherever in the world you are. So first of all, why should you import food or natural skincare products from Africa? First of all, African governments support exports, and that's imports at your end, all right, if you're sitting outside of Africa. So African governments want to support their exports because exports contribute directly to the economic growth of their respective countries. This is very important for you to understand because it is one of the main products that Africa can export. And as a result of that, they will earn hard currency. And with that hard currency, the country can further develop, it can compete on the global market, and it can invest. And this is very, very important to understand. It is crucial, and this is why African governments support exports and not imports within Africa. Africa's food sector will be the next multi-billion-dollar industry globally. This is especially a well, it was really a quote that's been put out there by Steve Masiva, who is one of the Africa business gurus out there. And he runs multi-million-dollar companies in the telecommunication industry, so not agricultural and food related at all. And he says Africa's food sector will be the next billion-dollar industry globally. Many products that Africa supplies are high in demand globally. And today, me and my team, we want to show you how to sell them in the world. Further, you can build a passive income stream towards financial freedom. That is particularly the case if you're becoming an import agent and you're creating a portfolio of buyers in the West. We'll go into this in more detail. It can be a serious side business or your main business for wealth creation. So again, for those of you who are maybe leaving their job or lost their job, you can create a main business out of this, or you can create a side business out of becoming an import agent and earning some extra money. Again, we talked about the diversification of income. You can sell African products anywhere, which means you're pretty location independent, meaning really that, of course, if you're becoming a distributor, you will have warehouses, but it really means that wherever in the world you are, when you have access to a food product or an African brand, no matter where you are based in the world, you can sell it really anywhere. And I think that is beautiful because some of you may be in the US right now, but you want to relocate to Africa, a couple of years later. And that means that you don't really have to stop the importing and trading business. You are just taking a different aspect, looking for new markets when you relocate. But above all, as we have learned today, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, we're talking about a business model for Africa and with Africa that is pandemic and economic downfall proof. And when I mean proof, it doesn't mean that it will go without challenges during a pandemic or an economic crisis, but what it means is that the production, the trade and retail of food and natural skincare products will continue no matter what. No matter what. And these are the businesses, as we've seen, that have very often actually, seen increased in demand, and they were kept open during the pandemic. Now, I want to quickly show you a new world of importing from Africa. First of all, consumers globally are more into healthy, organic, ethically sourced, natural, and unique products than ever before in history, probably. And Africa has loads of it. You don't have to invest thousands of dollars to hold your own inventory because there are business models that allow you to really start on a shoestring budget. And I will show you which ones they are in a few minutes. You can work out a partnership deal with African suppliers that suits you best. So you can get agent status, broker status, you can white label, use white labeling and put your own brand on a product. You can distribute. There's all sorts of small business models that come under the overall importing from Africa or trading with Africa model. And more African suppliers offer branded products with high quality standards that are globally competitive. So what we're seeing now, these pictures are really it's really the outdated African food narrative. Yes, we still see products, let's say, poorly packaged like that in Africa in particular, and also coming out of Africa. The little shop here that is showing shelves, that's what we are used to in London, for example. When I was young, you know, I lived in Brixton and around Finsbury Park, and there were a lot of African shops there. There still are. And that's how it kind of looked like passing these African shops. You see the yam and the green banana and some kind of dried fish, and it all kind of looks very, yummy, but somehow dodgy when you compare it to international standards. And this is the narrative that many of us are used to, but that is changing. This is the new narrative. African brands now. These are African brands coming out of the continent. Skincare, look at the Moments chocolate. I've met the founder of Moments Chocolate in Ghana myself. She was a diasporan, relocating from the UK back to Ghana. She's producing high-end chocolate for the Ghanaian market. And look at how beautiful the selection of chocolate. We have, what else do we have here? Skin Gourmet is another fantastic brand, also coming out of Ghana. We also have met with the producers there. Then we also have, look, even food products, superfood products. And I'm very proud to say that part of our team, your importing trainers, Ate and Pamela, are in the room with us today. And the products that you're seeing here are their products. So Sawa is Ate's brand coming out of Norway, really, I mean, that's where he's based, but coming out from across Africa. He's sourcing his products from several African countries. I don't know, Ate, the last time I checked, it was 6 African countries. Maybe it's 10 now. And Pamela has started with a small group of farmers in Uganda. Now, thousands of farmers are producing for her, and her brand, Asante Mama, is already featuring in many stores across Belgium, the EU, and the US. And Ate as well. Again, last time, Ate, I checked, you were in about 28 or something outlets in Norway, going into Sweden as well. And again, you know, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, you have actually people sitting here among you today who are also your coaches, who have walked the talk and who have actually brought products out of Africa that are absolutely beautiful. And I would say, I would argue, if we look at this and this, it is really high standard. And some products that we're used to in the West cannot even compare to them. So 5 myths that I want to get out of your head first, all right, before we go into the steps of what to do in order to import. First of all, the myth that you need a lot of money to start an import-export business. That is not true. Of course, you know, any business, you can put a lot of money in there. Maybe you want to have a state-of-the-art warehouse and you want to have your own truck. I mean, there's certainly no limit to it. But today, we're going to show you how you can start this on a shoestring budget. And we have many of our importing members who have started it with little money. You must travel to Africa to find suppliers. That is also a myth, and we are showing you today how to do it from wherever in the world you are. Or it may be that you are in Nigeria and you want to import from Kenya. You don't need to necessarily travel there. We show you how to do it the right way without really leaving your country. Doing business with African suppliers is risky. Well, it can be, it doesn't have to be, and we show you how to do it in a way that is professional. You have to handle all of the shipping, warehousing, and inventory yourself. Again, that is not the case. Yes, there are certain importing models that will require that, and you need to build a team for that, but then there are other models that don't require that. The African diaspora and my friends will be my best customers. Again, that's also a myth that I'm trying to get out there, because today we want to talk about making African products available to the world, not to Africans only that are living across the globe. So, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, without further ado, I want to show you now five powerful and simple steps to importing from Africa successfully. Step number one. Your first step is to find a great product that is high in demand in the West or wherever you're based. You may be based in Dubai, you may be based in Hawaii, you may be based within Africa and you want to get into intra-African trade. It starts with finding a great product that is high in demand in the market in which you reside. And therefore, don't ask, oh, what does Africa have that I could, export or import? Instead, you should really ask, and should actually read import really, because we are taking the perspective of you, the importer. You should really ask which product is high in demand or trending in my specific target market. And then you ask, can Africa supply that? So what we want to teach you today is that you need to take a demand-driven approach. If you're in Toronto, Canada, or you are in Johannesburg, South Africa, or you're sitting in Dubai or New York, you have to understand which products are really high in demand or trending in your market, and make a list of these products. And then you see, can Africa provide that? And you go further, okay, which countries in Africa can actually provide that best? That is your starting point. So let's look at a few examples. And I want to show you really what works on the global market. So waste beads versus coffee. And I know that a lot of you, you embrace your African heritage, and there is some beautiful African products out there that you want to get your hands on and you want others to get their hands on. But here's really, the reality is that waste beads will have a very limited amount of clients in the US, for example. Let's say these are maybe African diasporas who equally miss what you're missing. And then on top of it, they will be women only. You can't really sell them to men. And so your target market becomes rather small. On top of it, you can have only a tiny profit margin on a product such as a waste bead. On top of that, that is not something that you can brand easily. So on the contrary, we have coffee. Coffee is a product that is high in demand across the globe. Be it your African diaspora friends, or be it the communities and the societies in which you live and reside. Everyone drinks coffee, men and women, and you can brand the coffee if you wish to do so and have a very healthy profit margin. And therefore, coffee is a much stronger product than a waste bead. But now, the new context, coffee is pandemic proof and economic downfall proof. People will still buy it. Waste bead is really an option that many may opt out when they struggle. Wooden sculptures versus natural skincare is a similar scenario. Yes, absolutely. I have to say, African art is really, really trending and high in demand. However, then we are talking about well-known African artists where you can make a lot of money on some selected African arts. We're not talking about the general African art that you can find across markets in Africa, such as you see in the picture here. Again, the same problem persists, that this is the kind of art that only a few people would buy into. And on top of it, it is difficult, very often difficult to ship, especially if you have bigger art pieces. But above all, it is not pandemic proof, where on the contrary, natural skincare is. People want to take care of their skin. Even during a pandemic, it remains to be a priority. In fact, we see more and more people opting for natural products, be it for skincare or food. They want to make sure they're taking care of their health. This is a product that can come out of Africa that you can brand, you can have a healthy profit margin on it. And again, it is pandemic and economic downfall proof because the demand will be there no matter what. We also need to look at traditional clothes versus mainstream. And again, I know that, many of you may be interested in bringing in traditional clothing, and will there be a market for it? Absolutely, in your own community. So here we have, for example, this beautiful girl or young lady with an Ethiopian dress, and that is, of course, something high in demand in the Ethiopian and Eritrean community, but it may limit you. May you make money? Absolutely, but you will always be limited in terms of your expansion within a city or within cities. On the contrary, look at these leather shoes, also made in Ethiopia. So this is another product now coming out of Ethiopia, where really it again is really a product that would be in demand across communities and societies. Leather shoes, where you have a much greater scalability. That is the key word, scalability, in order to grow your business. But generally, looking at clothes versus food. Yes, shoes belongs to, clothing category. And then we have seen traditional clothes here. We have another beautiful couple with some traditional attire. The challenge when you're starting to import or trade clothing is that one size does not fit all. Meaning clothing, they're different sizes, they're different colors. People may order the clothing from you and then they say it's too big, it's too tight, I can't fit in. This is not the color I wanted, or the material is really not the one I wanted, or it's too short, it's too long, the shoe doesn't fit, and so on. And that makes it a complex product for you to get started with in terms of importing and trading African products, because there are so many variables to it, and that can make it challenging in terms of your operations, but it can also make it more risky. On the contrary, when you put food products out there, and again, you can see the beautiful brand Asante Mama. Give a shout out to Pamela, she's in the room. This is her brand. And we're talking here about hibiscus herbal tea from Uganda. Look, that is one size fits it all. Someone wants the hibiscus tea to take care of their health or doesn't want it. And once they bought it, they're going to pour hot water over it and enjoy their tea. That's it. They will not send it back saying it's too small, it's too big, it's not the color I wanted or the taste I wanted. And therefore, your operations in this particular regard become much more straightforward. So let's have a look then at the African products that are high in demand and pandemic proof and economic downfall proof. So here is a quick list. Coffee, for example, tea, fruits, natural skincare products, superfoods, your moringas, baobab powder, and so on. Gluten-free products are also fast in demand in the West. And Africa has a lot of gluten-free grains, and it has the fonio, it has the tafoki that cannot be freely traded across the world, by the way, but it also has gluten-free other kind of flours, such as gluten-free cassava flour, for example, which I am a fan of, and I get easy access to that here in Rwanda. And the gluten-free cassava flour, we're baking pancakes from it, and pizza, and so on. There's also millet. The millet flour also grows gluten-free, sorghum. So Africa has a lot of those gluten-free grains that are and will be high in demand in the West, as people have more and more food intolerances, with their Western lifestyles, but also looking to just eat healthier. Gum Arabic is another product coming out of the natural or agricultural kind of sector. Actually, it's a natural product that is found in the acacia trees. And if you cut the bark of a acacia tree, there's this fluid coming out called gum Arabic. It's used in the food industry, in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, textiles, across the globe. A very powerful product for the manufacturing industry, also coming out of Africa. Sudan being the main producer of gum Arabic in Africa. And then trending, but not mainstream or pandemic proof, as we have heard, African arts, baskets, leather bags, apparel. So quickly again, bad products for startups are large and heavy products. Let's say you want to introduce African-inspired furniture. The one size that does not fit it all, we've heard that. Fast perishable food items such as fruits and vegetables is something I would suggest you don't start importing yourself. You may want to connect the buyers and the suppliers, but if you have no import experience, don't start with fast perishable food products such as fruits, because that will be a higher risk. You also don't want to have products that have tiny profit margins, not wanted, and you don't want to sell products that are not wanted by companies, but only by your African friends. For example, the African waste beads. So what makes a great product then again? Demand globally is high, and you have a consistent stream of buyers throughout the year. It can be sold in large quantities to companies. You want something that is small, light, and simple to ship, ideally with a long shelf life. That's a very important attribute to check when you choose your African product. You want good profit margins. And if you sell in an online shop, well, according to leading US importers, products that sell between $10 and $50 online on Amazon, for example, is something that you want to look out for. So don't go for any products that are too cheap, because your profit margins will be small. If you are deciding to sell on an e-commerce shop, go for products that are a little bit in the higher price range. Natural skincare, for example, superfoods that you can, or coffee that you can sell at a healthy price, so you have good profit margins. And of course, a product that is pandemic proof. So step number one, as we just heard, was to choose your product. And I showed you what makes a good product and what makes a risky product. Step number two then is to choose your importing model strategically. Which import model are you choosing? When you start an import business selling African products, you must first choose the business model that is right for you. Let me list the main ones for you. And we're really simplifying today so that you can have an understanding of some of the main decisions that you have to take and the main steps to take. Number one is that you decide that you become an agent. An import agent, but even if you're sitting in Africa, you can also become an export agent for other companies. And that is commission-based, meaning really that in a nutshell, you are connecting the buyer with the supplier. Oh, it's taking a life of its own here, my computer. You're connecting the supplier with the buyer. And whenever they make a deal, the shipment, the money transfer goes through them, but then you get a commission. And usually you're getting the commission from the supplier in Africa, which will be part of your contract. We're looking at a healthy 5 to 10% on average, 5 to 10%. However, having said that, we also have met suppliers who are looking for distributors, and they're giving an even healthier commission than that. For the first, sorry, I'm going back and forth here because my computer has decided to to go ahead, although I didn't give it instructions to do so. So if you become an agent, that is really the shoestring budget model that that is right for you if you are limited in regards to finances, because you don't have to purchase the produce yourself, the products rather. You're only purchasing samples to show to potential buyers. You're not purchasing the order or the products themselves that you then need to store in a warehouse. That is something the buyer does once the deal has been made, and you then get paid out the commission. You can also become a wholesaler or a distributor, or you can start your own branded product. When you become a wholesaler or a distributor, you really are in charge of, you're really in charge of the supply chain, including the transport, including the warehousing of it, and then also the distribution of it at at your location. Or you start your own branded product. And I got ahead of myself, because that's why the computer wanted to get ahead of itself. The computer was telling me, don't talk so much. You have it all listed down nicely with pictures. Okay, so we've said it again, shoestring budget model if you become an agent, no handling of goods and transactions, no warehouse. And this can become your passive income stream, where you really can put together a portfolio of buyers. So that means if one buyer likes what you have delivered, you get a commission for that. When the shelves are empty, they will order again from you, and you'll get another commission of that. And the more buyers you're adding to your portfolio, that's really what allows you to become to create kind of a passive income stream. And you are location independent. If you become a distributor, wholesaler, as we said, you have your own warehouse. This is Honora in the picture, one of our first importers before I actually had the program. And this is his warehouse in Canada, importing cassava flour from Rwanda. You have larger profit margins, and therefore probably you can make your income or meet your targets faster. However, of course, you also have larger expenditures. You're an active player in the industry, and very often you can also decide on the price when you're a distributor or a wholesaler, while when you are an agent, the price is being set by the supplier. And you have more control over the business operations and price in general. Number 3 is then that you start your own branded product. You know, it could be like we see here, Africa detoxing oils or gluten-free pancake mix, and you could, make this with ingredients you get out of Africa. You own the product. That means you have full control over all aspects, including the brand, the pricing, the target market, and so on. So you're in full control here. You have increased prestige and an enhanced vision. You can build a family legacy because you're owning and building your own brand. It's difficult to create a family legacy if you're just an import agent making commission. And additional income as you control the margins, and others can become your agents. So once you have a product, your own brand, you can have others working for you as agents or distributors. But important to understand is that you start with the model that makes the most sense for you at the beginning and right now. Keep the pros and cons in mind, and keep also in mind that you can always upgrade to a more complex importing business model later on. You may want to start as an agent in the coffee industry and just connect suppliers with buyers. And at one point, you may know the industry so well that you decide you're going to get your own coffee brand out there. That is something you can always do if you choose so at a later point. So let's say you have chosen your business model. Great. Now you need to implement success step number 3. Number 3 then is that you need to find reliable African suppliers that you can trust. Dealing with the wrong suppliers in Africa is the biggest risk in your business. It will cost you a lot of money and loss of credibility among your clients. Hence, finding reliable and professional suppliers in Africa is one of the most important aspects when building your import business. Now, finding suppliers in China versus Africa. And I'm mentioning China because really, when we're looking at the world of trade and import, export, especially when you're looking at the new phase of home-owned businesses that are trying to do importing or drop shipping, the majority of people, I think you would agree, are looking for China to get access to cheap products or whatever products they desire. Now, when trading with China, you can go to sites such as Alibaba.com to check a huge range of suppliers, client reviews, and supplier details. And when trading with China, you're looking at one homogeneous market. In Africa, however, you're looking really at 54 markets to import from. Hence, in Africa, you need to find other ways to find reliable suppliers because there's no one shop answer. And on top of that, we are still dealing with an emerging region at large. And therefore, there are a lot of other challenges when you want to find suppliers that are, really operating at a standard in terms of their product output, as a standard that you need, which is a competitive international standard. So how do I find reliable suppliers in Africa then? Well, there are several ways to find reliable African suppliers, but I will tell you the 3 best and fastest ways. I highly recommend them. Number 1 is that you go through professional African entities such as the export promotion councils, industry associations, or chambers of commerce. And you can see some of their logos here. We have the Uganda Export Promotion Board, the National Agricultural Board of Development Board of Rwanda. We have the Chamber of Commerce of Cote d'Ivoire, and so on and so forth. Zambia Association of Manufacturers, because food manufacturers would be a member of that manufacturing association. Or if you look for something specific, you may also find specific industry associations, such as the Ghana Cocoa Board, for example. So you can visit or contact these industry associations and get access through them to reliable or professional African suppliers. The second way how to find professional suppliers in Africa is that you go through face-to-face meetings during industry events such as African expos and conferences. We have these kind of food expos and agricultural expos across the continent. Of course, they are not happening at full scale right now due to the pandemic, but they're happening and they're coming back. We have an African expo in Dubai. We have expos such as agricultural expos happening in Europe or the USA, where you can find some African suppliers. I myself visited one in Berlin a few years back with Pamela, and we met there great African suppliers that traveled all the way from the continent to be in Berlin to showcase their products. So people who are really investing highly, into such conferences and expos, there's flight tickets, there's shipping the products, getting them through customs, hotel expenses. I mean, you can be convinced that you will find professional and serious suppliers at these expos and not some kind of scammers or businesses that are heavily struggling. And number 3, of course, through your own research. And now there is sorry. I heard another voice. I think it was a recording put over the slide. I don't know if you heard it. I want to say to you, there is an even better way to do it now, which we have created. It's the big reveal. I know some of you already know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are not, let's keep the curtains closed. I'm going to open them in a minute. Life is too short to make everything predictable. So let's have the big reveal a little bit later on in the presentation, where we have built another way how to access reliable suppliers in Africa. And we're going to show you how in a moment. So here's what can happen fast if you think you have understood, but then you get carried away by the opportunity. A few years ago, I had a client from the African diaspora. She joined me just as you do today in one of my live meetings, and she actually was at one of my Africa business boot camps, where I always talk in detail how important it is to take professional avenues to meet local partners in Africa. It's one of my favorite subjects, and it's very important to make sure that you are not running into big risk. So she went through all the training. She probably took note, as some of you are doing today. And then she traveled to Senegal. She let all of us know, I'm traveling back home, and I want to do this and that over there. And she came back and she ran into an opportunity in Senegal with someone who had too much mango and he didn't have a market, and he offered it to her at a very good price. And she was so excited because she was, she was from the Netherlands, and she had good connections there with some retail outlets. And she thought, oh my God, this is actually a fantastic deal. So she went into this deal, and my client lost $4,000. She paid this guy $4,000, or that seller, and she never saw the mangoes. And therefore, I'm sharing that story with you to just let you know, opportunity there is plenty of in Africa, left, right, and center, as I always say. There's a lot of opportunity, but very often I see people again and again and again carried away by opportunity and not taking the steps that are necessary to make sure that you're going down a professional and reliable path. And I've showed you how to do that through the industry associations, number one. Number two, through African industry expos and conferences. And number three, through your thorough research. Step number 4 then, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. Sell to the right buyers for maximum profit. But before I go to step number 4, let me see if you're all still there and you haven't fallen asleep. Because I can only see myself and hear myself and see my own slides. Are you still there? Fantastic. Okay. I mean, feel free to to get up and take some jumps, and so you wake up if you feel tired. And okay, fantastic. You're still there. So we shall continue. We shall continue. All right, great. And we have 350 people now live in the Zoom room, 350 of you, fantastic, from all across the world. And I know many hundreds, if not thousands, will join over YouTube as well. So let's go then to step number 4, sell to the right buyers for maximum profit. The rule here is to start small, but then to think big. All right, start small, but think big. And really, the opposite of that is that you're thinking that you will sell to your African friends. And I believe that your African friends or your family, diaspora at large, are great to test your product, to taste and test your product. but they should not ultimately be your only buyer group. They may be, if you're really tuning into one particular product. So for example, it could be a particular product for black hair. Then absolutely, it makes sense to sell to this target group and this buyer group, which is a very powerful buyer group. But what I'm trying to put out there is that we do not need to be restricted to our own community, that there is a much larger buyer and target group out there that could equally be interested in these products. Because in the meanwhile, the Africa Business Jumpstarters, can you see this ship? It's called Hanjin. I know it's China, or I think it's Korea if I look at the writing. Hanjin Africa, all right? So this ship actually has the name Africa printed on it, and is selling shipping and transporting container loads. And these are shipments also going from Africa to Asia, to China, to Korea, and so on. And what I'm trying to say is that the world is already trading with Africa at global level, meaning to mainstream consumers. But very often when we're looking at the African diaspora at large, Africans, friends of Africa, we are often very limited in the kind of consumer groups that we have in mind. And in order to become competitive on the global stage with made in Africa products, it is so crucial that we are also taking a look out of our own communities, and we too start trading globally and to the mainstream. And that's really the point I want to bring out here. There's nothing wrong with trading and selling to our own communities. In fact, that's where it starts, you know, and a lot of it is needed there as well. But in the long term, that's not how we can compete with the global traders. We also need to start to look outside of that, so we can feel the ownership on the global stage in this regard. Rule number 2 is then to sell primarily to clients who can make large orders. So even when we're looking at the society at large and wider communities, we actually want to be selling to companies versus selling to individuals. And I know many of you are kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to put an e-commerce shop out there and then maybe sell on Amazon. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. And it has helped a lot of people survive during the pandemic. But what I want to show you is that there is a difference. And I believe that you can make it to financial independence faster, or to make good profits faster selling to companies. So let's have a look. Let's do the math quickly. So if you are selling to individuals on Amazon, let's say you sell to 1,000 individuals at a profit margin of $2 per unit, right? You may be selling, I don't know, shea butter or something, and your pot is selling for a certain price and you're making $2 per unit. Now, you make $2,000. And that also means that in order to make $2,000 US, you actually have to sell to 1,000 individuals. And that is not an easy task, to have and gain 1,000 clients. On the contrary, then, if you're selling to companies, you only need one company that makes an order of 5,000 units at a profit margin of just $1, for example. So let's say you even have a smaller profit margin, or you have the same profit margin of $2. You only need to sell 2,500 units. KG, for example, could be a unit to a company. And that company then fills their shelves, their supermarkets. Of course, they will start with a smaller order. Excuse my dog. She's obviously excited. And my son has been very attentive, trying to calm her down. He came up, I gave him instructions. When you hear Bella bark, you need to come downstairs and calm her down. So the company will start, of course, with a smaller order. It may be, 200 units to test the product and so on. But really what's important to understand is that once they like your product, they will make larger orders to fill the shelves. And once the shelves are empty, they will make another larger order. And it is much easier for you to sell to one client than to sell to 1,000 clients. The operations are also easier in this regard in terms of, customer service, communication. 1,000 clients, so many may be coming back to you saying that, something got lost in the post, they're not happy with it. You have all these complaints coming possibly from half of them. And yes, so sorry, I was just giving instructions to my son to feed the dog so she can be quiet. Sorry about that. So you make 5,000 with a single client who will come back for another large order, and that's the success story. Companies to sell to in the West, for example, are shops, supermarkets and retailers, restaurants, coffee shops, hotels, wholesalers, and larger importers. So these are importers that already exist, and you can sell to them as well. Corporate offices, spas and salons, and other businesses, right? So when we were, for example, at the hotel for our Africa Business Bootcamp in New York, it was literally the day before they closed the airport down. I was leaving with one of the last planes, and some of you I know were with me on that, traveling back home before the pandemic hit. We actually asked the hotel manager at the hotel, and it was a hotel at LaGuardia, near LaGuardia Airport, a 4-star hotel. And I've asked him, what about if people are coming in with products and they want to sell? And he said, oh, very welcome. All the time we have people coming in with great products that we want to offer in the hotel. And we like it because we also want to offer something new to our clients and our guests. And they're very welcome. And I myself did the test, actually reaching out to retailers, supermarkets, the purchasing departments of supermarkets in Germany in particular, and now also in the United Kingdom as part of building our second company here in Kigali. And you just need to find the right potential buyers online, put them all in an Excel sheet, making your notes of what they stand for. So look into the website and what they stand for. And you will find that many of them will be interested to purchase. They will express an interest that, oh yeah, this is something at least we would love to, do you have a brochure to share? Do you have a picture? Do you have some information to share? And I just want to let you know, I've tested this for 2 weeks in Germany. And I had, 20 or 30 companies in my Excel sheet. And I approached them by email, followed up by phone. No, sorry, the other way around. First phone, and then followed up by email, and then again phone. And within 2 weeks, I had 2 expressions of interest. One from a major retail supermarket from River in Germany. It's one of the top supermarket chains in Germany. And the other one was from a family bakery because I offered gluten-free cassava flour. And that was a test. So, and I did this, by the way, 1 hour per day, because that's what I wanted to test. If someone is still in a full-time job, like many of you are, is this something that they could run on the side? So I did 1 hour per day. And after 10 days, I received the first expression of interest. And then 3-4 days later, the second expression of interest. And these are not small Jack and Harry's shops. These were really good brands and supermarket retailers in Germany. So it is very, very feasible and doable. And this is a company, for example, to the right, that I've just reached out to on Thursday. So 3 days ago, from our office in Kigali. It's a pure essential oil company in the UK, and I reached out to them by phone. And the reason why I reached out to them was because we are training our team. And basically, I've suggested, I looked into the products, essential oils, and they've been around since 1974. And I suggested that Africa has oils, rare oils, such as, you can see jojoba oil from Namibia, but we offered the desert melon oil from Namibia. Have you heard ever about desert melon or melon desert oil from Namibia? So it's a very rare oil that can only be found in the Kalahari Desert of Namibia. And, we reached out and said, is this something you would be interested in? And we actually spoke to the decision makers, and, they said that we have very good suppliers across the world because we have been in business for many years, but we never say no to new oils and products. And so, please send us some details and we will be very happy to look into it. And that's how it starts. There is no big hurdles to overcome. It's about getting your samples, so you have something at home that you can give them if they want to test it or taste it. And you pick up the phone and you reach out by phone and email, or you knock doors of coffee shops, hotels, and you make a good proposition. And I've made 3 calls to the United Kingdom. This was part of our training. I made 3 calls to the United Kingdom on Thursday, offering products from Africa. And 2 of them really expressed an interest. So that means they were asking questions on the phone, they were engaging in a chat, and they said, okay, we're happy to hear from you. And one of them said, oh, we don't import. We actually looked into the wrong company there, and they said, we only import from importers who are already in the UK. So that means, look, they're importing from importers, which means then when you have a warehouse or even want to become an agent, you can also reach out to existing importers for your products. So very, very feasible and tangible. Rule number 3 then, when you reach out to companies, is that you sell to the right companies. All right, let's take specialty coffee from Kenya, specialty coffee from Ethiopia, specialty coffee from Rwanda, and you want to sell this in the United Kingdom, for example. And I'm using this example because this is a real example. The hotel that you see there is part of it's actually called McDonald's hotel chain. And I know it's not the McDonald's food chain we know, it's a high-end hotel chain in the United Kingdom. And they bought specialty coffee from Rwanda. And the reason why this is a good match is because a specialty coffee, it is a beyond fair trade coffee, it is a high-end coffee, and it's not a cheap coffee. And the high-end hotel chain wanted the coffee, so that would be a right target client. Whereas if you're going to a bed and breakfast, I want to say, or some kind of these breakfast outlets in London, where they couldn't care less what kind of coffee they're serving, they just want it to be cheap and taste like coffee, then that would be your wrong match to go to with a specialty coffee product that stands out, okay? So it's very important that you have the right product market match. And that is research you can do online before you reach out to someone by phone or knock doors or send an email. You just need to go on their website and see what they stand for. Look at the about page, sustainability, high end, we want to make an impact, all these keywords, and use those keywords that you see on their website when reaching out to them. And that gives them the confidence that you're not just some kind of scammer or cold caller, but you have actually taken a few minutes to look at the website, see what they stand for, and then you decided that what you want to offer is the right match. And that is an exercise I'm training the team here in Kigali, because they also came up with a list of potential buyers across the world. And we actually started with the target markets in Dubai, United Kingdom, and Kenya, and Ghana to test intra-African trade. And what I saw is that they just quickly put things in the Excel sheet without going onto the website. And very often those food importers or food retailers were not a match for what we can offer in Africa. So there was one company, for example, in the list, yeah, it says food importer. But then if you go onto the website, what you really see is they're importing traditional food from across Europe. So already branded traditional kind of food items from Europe. The other one was one importing Mediterranean food from Greece and Lebanon. So you need to take that effort, check a few of them out. When you decide that it's a good match, look at the keywords they have on their website and use those keywords when you reach out to them by phone or email. Look out for buyer trends as well and then go for it. This was Nando's a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. And Nando's decided to, I don't know if you have Nando's in the US, but it's a big chain in the UK. And they decided that they have an African theme. I mean, who would have thought? You may not see it in the background. All the postcards are showing images of Africa. Look at the seating. They used an African fabric, and they had this African theme going on. I don't know for how long, for a month, and they actually changed the entire interior design to match the African theme. Now, this is important to know if you then knock doors, Nando's. Maybe you want to offer a special drink or a special ingredient to go onto their menu. And you need to know that in order to communicate the value and why it is relevant to them. The keyword is relevance here, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. Here, for example, look at this picture. This is, believe it or not, I found it very interesting. This is an African restaurant in New York City. And the picture of the gentleman here, the chef or the owner, that is the owner, and he is serving African food. I found this very interesting. But why it is important that we take notice is because Africa is becoming actually mainstream. Look at the fashion of Africa. Look at the arts world. African arts in some of the top art houses are selling for millions now. And US dollar, that is, not Naira, by the way. So this is the trend we're seeing, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. So it's important we are not asleep. So would you be able to walk into this restaurant as someone who has, for example, African spices to offer, or some kind of gluten-free ingredients to offer? Would this be a relevant and good match? Absolutely. So these trends exist and you need to be aware of them, and they're growing, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. Look at this. The African restaurants seen in London, Moroccan boring, the capital restaurants are now looking south of the Sahara. Here are the best places to try the great plates of Africa in the city of London. SBS Australia wrote recently why you should pay attention to African food. Here, 21st of May of this year, how the diaspora is reconnecting to Africa through food. This is all mainstream media, by the way. And let me read out this paragraph to you. A cuisine for the culture. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. According to the data team at Pinterest, searches for West African recipes saw a 311% increase on their website in 2019. The same year, the Specialty Food Association named West African cuisine as one of the fastest growing food trends, with the region's flavors and spices showing up in more and more food products around the world. Whole Foods also named West African food as one of their top 20 trends of the year for 2020. Can you imagine? Whole Foods is saying that African food is among their top trends. And Whole Foods, as we all know, is a leading natural food chain in the US, and it's not an African chain, it's an American chain. So we have to pay attention. This trend is happening beside everything else that is going on in the world, meaning the supply chains may be compromised from other countries now because of climate change, because of the transport issues and energy issues we are facing across the world. And therefore, Africa has been trending anyway, but now Africa is becoming a powerful alternative to fill some of these gaps for products around the world, because hands down, the majority of manufacturers and retailers have not been looking at Africa. And this is exactly where you will come in. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are based. And again, this is also for those of you who are on the continent already, and you're looking at intra-African trade. I know some of you are exporters. I know because many of you are communicating to me or emailing me. What about us? We want to do export. I hope that you also got a lot of value today looking at the kind of brands that you can or need to produce to become competitive. But intra-African trade really is a very, very fast growing trend. And I don't have the latest numbers, but last time I checked, it was 18% for trade from Africa into the world, growing at 18%. And the growth for intra-African trade was at 40-something%. So double that. And I want to share a story for intra-African trade for you, for those of you on the continent already, and those of you planning to move to Africa. This is a story that was told to me by the sales manager of Rwandan Mountain Tea, and you can see a picture of their old brand, by the way. And he told me the story when I was visiting the plant, the tea manufacturing plant in Kigali. He told me that he had a visitor a few months prior to my meeting, and that visitor, he just knocked the door. He came out of nowhere. He didn't really tell him that he was coming, and that's absolutely fine in Africa. You can knock doors if you say the right things. And he came from Nigeria. And this guy had traveled from Nigeria to Rwanda looking for products that he could import from Rwanda into Nigeria. And he was interested in importing tea into Nigeria, and he made a deal with some kind of samples that he got from the Rwandan Mountain Tea factory, and he brought them into Nigeria. And he was, as I remember, he was working or had connections or was working at one of the shops at a Total petrol station. You know, these small shops at the petrol station. And he put the tea into the shelves at one of those outlets, and the tea sold. And he went back for more and more and more, because more of those shops at the petrol station, maybe this is like a whole chain belonging even to, I don't know, to just a few people, or they have same kind of outlet for importing items that are distributed to them. And they decided to put these in several shops. I think there are over 100 total petrol stations in Nigeria. I can't remember the latest number. I checked it at one point. So here you go. The guy started with one petrol station. Then before you know it, he's distributing it or putting it in the shelves of all the petrol station shops. And that's what I say with it is a kind of almost like a passive income stream, because now once he has the spot at those shelves, all he has to do is order more and someone else will put it there for him. You know, I'm sure they have a distribution channel for Total, and it kind of sells itself before he has to make a new order. So the real work in the business was to get the supplier to find the buyer and get the product into the shelf, and maybe to work out the import policy, the import details for the first time. But once he kind of knows what he's doing, it is simple to follow up with that. So it's a story I love, and again, it's a hands-on story and very, very feasible for all of you. And today I also want to share a story which I think I just want to put out there for pure inspiration. And that is the story of Christina Tegbe from 54 Thrones. And shout out to Christina. And I'm wondering if I think I didn't put it properly into the screen, because you can't see Christina herself. She's on the right-hand side. I don't know if you can see her. I think I went beyond the slide, but she was in there. But she's on the picture. She was on Shark Tank, and some of you may have seen her. Put it in the chat box if you have. Now, here's what I want to share, because she's a huge inspiration to all of us. And I want to share her story as a motivation. How I came to know Christina Tegbe of 54 Thrones is because she was one of the first members to join my Africa Business Academy when I started. And, you know, she also had a cleaning business in the US. So she had never done business with Africa. She is based in the US, from Nigerian origin, and she wanted to travel to Africa to start importing skincare products as raw materials, so shea butter and oils and so on. And at that time, we didn't have the Importing from Africa program. And I still remember, you know, the chat that we had. I connected her with the Chamber of Commerce in Ghana, because I had just come back from Ghana and I had a contact there. And, you know, and then he welcomed her. And that was, she started literally from scratch, like you guys. She had never done business with Africa. She has had no idea really about the skincare industry or how to get this started. She started from scratch. This was in late 2016. And in 2017 and 2018, you know, those of you who have followed her story or Facebook comments, she also did a YouTube testimony on my YouTube to just share, you know, she started from scratch with very simple steps, like every one of you would do. And trying to figure out, but I have to say, Christina is a go-getter. I always saw that in her. And, you know, at one point, of course, she left also the academy and started to really travel across Africa. She's traveled to Morocco to get her essential products, essential oils from there as well. And she started this high-end skincare line, 54 Thrones, to make a startup story, very inspiring, short. Christina Tegbe just a couple of weeks ago or so featured on Shark Tank in the United States. I couldn't watch it from here. I'm sure she got her investment. She has also been named by Oprah Winfrey herself for her brand. She features on Forbes, and she got a deal with Sephora, which I hadn't got a clue who Sephora was, but obviously you in the US know it's as I understand now, a big retail outlet or something like that. So it's a big deal. That I could tell. It was a big deal that she's featuring on Sephora. Her products are on the shelves of Sephora. Oprah Winfrey has named her, and she was on Shark Tank. Guys, this is exactly what's possible. And the reason why it's possible is because African products still stand out. But the key word here is to go for it. And the second key word is to position yourself powerfully. So let us all do a big shout out to Christina. Please, in the chat box on YouTube, in YouTube, everyone will be able to see it even after. But let's do a great shout out to Christina. You know, she is a member of the African diaspora, one of us, and she has a hugely, hugely inspiring story. And not only is she representing Africa in a way that makes us proud, but she's also paving the way for many others to follow and to just follow their dream, you know, and to grow, to go and grow to great heights. All right, so Christina, well done. We're so proud of you. You're a wonderful role model to all of us. All right, so step number 5 then is to scale smartly and make a lot of money. All right, so number 1, focus on getting more of the right large buyers. Focus on companies. Number 2, foster good relationships with your suppliers and your buyers and build a portfolio of buyer accounts. These can then lead to quasi-passive income streams. All right, a passive income stream in a business never means you have to do no work, but the portfolios are set up. The biggest part of the work is done, and you focus on finding new buyers, and the old ones will reorder. Number 3, diversify your product range to a closely related industry that makes stronger positioning and faster sales as you have existing buyers. So what I mean by that is I see very often new importers in our program, you know, wanting to reach out to the superfood guy, to the coffee guy, and the skincare suppliers. You don't want to do that. You don't want to say, oh, I love to offer all of this, or these are all great products. You want to closely look at what product are you interested, and then stay within that industry first. That's much easier. If you do coffee, you can then do another coffee, or you do tea, which is also a beverage. That means the suppliers that you already have for the buyers, the hotels, for example, restaurants, or retail outlets that you have won over for your coffee may then also be interested in your tea, because it's the same industry. A coffee shop will do the coffee and the tea, but it will not do the pineapple or the shea butter. That's a different industry. So it is important, in my view, in order to make progress faster, to stay within a product range, within an industry, because you can sell to the same buyers very often. Let's recap. Number 1, importing from Africa is easier than ever, and everyone can do it. It's the perfect business model for the African diaspora as buyers sit abroad. However, it's equally relevant for intra-African trade. You do not need a lot of capital to get started. The West is looking for high quality, organic, ethically sourced products. Africa has loads of it. Step number 1, as we learned, start with the demand. Take a demand-driven approach. Find your ideal product that is high in demand in the West. Step number 2, choose your importing business model strategically. For example, I want to start as an agent. Number 3, find a reliable African supplier you can trust. And we have seen how to do that. Number 4, sell to the right buyers for maximum profits, which are companies, but they also need to match with the products you offer. And number 5 is scale smartly and make a lot of money, okay? By building on your portfolio. But there is one more reason that I want to really mention today, why I believe all of us should get into the food industry. We mentioned the pandemic, we mentioned the economic downfall, we mentioned the huge opportunity, but there's one more, and that is this. Have a look, please. It's called Food Business Africa. It is the leading publication, or one of the leading publications in the industry for the continent. Food Business Africa. Dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, what do you notice by this leading publication for the industry in Africa? What do we notice? And I think it's obvious. We notice not a single African face is actually pictured on those covers. And dear sisters, not a single face of a woman is pictured on these covers. Can you see that? And whereas we have, you know, a lot of international business also creating great products in Africa, paying taxes in Africa, really creating employment opportunity in Africa, giving you know, income to African farmers in Africa. Absolutely, we are dealing with a global free market, and I believe, I'm not pointing fingers here, others than to ourselves, to be very honest. I think this is the approach. It's always very easy to say it's so and so and so and so. We have to self-observe. This starts with our own governments. It starts with every single one of us. And I believe we need high-end, competitive food and skincare businesses that are owned by Africans, including our African sisters. It is important because we need to keep the ownership. It is not by exclusion. This is what I believe. You don't have to agree with me. We all have our own opinions. I do not teach by exclusion. That is my stand. I do not teach by exclusion. I teach by empowerment. I teach by raising awareness. I teach by really looking at ourselves to see that we have to step up our own game, right? And that we have, you know, really have a collective mindset shift to make sure we own our narrative. And owning your narrative is done through self-empowerment and empowerment of each other in our community. And that's why we are here, okay? So is there another recap? Okay, more recap. You can build a passive income stream and wealth. You can make the money you need to build a life of your dreams. African governments support exports. And we are almost done. We're almost done, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. Now I want to really talk to you, and that is, I'm not sure why you showed up today. We're hundreds of people in the Zoom room, hundreds of people following on YouTube, thousands usually watching my YouTube training. And the question really is, it's great to watch, to learn, to be inspired, to be motivated, but really ask yourself, why did I show up today? Why did I attend this training? Is it because you're fed up of your job? Is it because you're looking to diversify your income stream? Is it because you're looking for a new opportunity? Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you're struggling financially. Maybe you want to leave a legacy for your family. Maybe you want to start new. Maybe you see others doing great in an African business context, and you just want to connect to the motherland or uplift your own family out of their current situation into higher realms. I'm sure each one of you has a reason why you participated, but I really want to stress that it is so important that you actually do something about it. If you change nothing, nothing will change. I've explained very early in the presentation today that the masses are asleep. The masses are still believing, hopefully this coronavirus will, soon disappear and life can kind of go back to normal. I think we have learned at the beginning of the presentation that the old times are gone. And sometimes, you have to say goodbye to the old to let in the new. We just hope that the new will be better than the old. But very often it takes a lot of disruption to get to the new, to build to the new. The disruption can take place in our own lives. Maybe you have just lost a job. Maybe you've just lost money. You're in despair. Maybe you're worried about the current economic climate and the empty shelves at your supermarket. But important is to understand that those times of disruptions can lead into a greater awareness and therefore a greater experience in your life and a greater version of yourself. But we have to realize the world is changing and we need to change as a result of that. That is absolutely crucial. And I have been teaching this class to you today in that context. Diversify your income streams. And the food industry is the most important industry to get into at these times. So today I want to extend an invitation to you to actually start taking action. Welcome to Africa Business in a Box, which is the Importing from Africa program. The first ever comprehensive online program on how to import from Africa effectively. And I hope that I gave you a lot of examples today how to do that. So if you allow me, I will quickly share how you can take action starting today, immediately following this training that I hope you enjoyed so far. I will show you how you can take action with my help and the help of Pamela, who is in the room today, and the help of Ate. Both of them have actually built amazing African brands, food brands, and they are already successfully selling globally. And we would like to extend an invitation today to join the Importing from Africa program. And now I want to share the big reveal. Remember when I said there's a better way to get access to reliable suppliers in Africa? And I want to quickly share how you can do that. So here is the big reveal. Free access to our new online platform of vetted African suppliers. And the free access comes with you joining the Importing from Africa program today. So basically, we have created a new platform where you can easily get access to these suppliers. So if you decide to become part of our importing family, we are a big group of importers, mainly from the African diaspora, but also people doing trading, intra-African trade. And here's what you will get by joining the Importing from Africa program. So first of all, you will get access to the first ever training on how to import from Africa. This is an online training. If you enjoy it today, it is a training recorded similar like that with slides. It has 12 modules and is a basic training. So if you're in trade on already, this is not for you. This is a basic training for those of you who want to start this as a new business. And we have a training around how to find the right buyers, how to ship, about shipping and duty and taxes, and so on. So you get access to 12 modules of video training that you can watch and rewatch in your own time. So that's access number one. Access number two is then that you get the access to African suppliers from the comfort of your home via our new platform. So here is a sneak peek into our marketplace that we are creating. And this is actually my second company that we are building in Rwanda. We have an office, we have a team, we have staff, and we are reaching out to suppliers across Africa. You get free access, lifetime access, I shall say, to the entire program actually, but including to the marketplace that we are building, and we are growing in very, very serious terms. So this is an overlook of some of the products that we are featuring on our marketplace. And as a member of the Importing from Africa program, you will get lifetime access to this marketplace for Africa as well. This is just a quick overview of the suppliers that are featuring on our platform. So as you can see, these are professional suppliers and manufacturers. Some of them are actually the biggest in Africa, not all of them, but we are vetting the ones that we don't know well, the ones that are a little bit smaller. We are vetting them. We are making sure, they have the standards in place. We are asking for business registration, import-export license, their certifications in terms of international standards. We are asking for all those documents. And we are also asking that they have had export experience before. So this is a picture of some of the suppliers featuring in our marketplace, and you get access, through a few clicks to them, where you can contact them. And we have vetted them for you. We also have started strategic cooperations with entities in Africa, such as the Rwandan Development Board, Uganda Export Promotion Board, the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, the Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce, and GEPA, which is the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. We have various kind of interaction with these entities. With some of them, with most of them actually, we have signed partnership deals, or we have received the official go-ahead. We have done with all of them various meetings. Several of them have introduced us to, all of them actually, I should say, have introduced us to exporters and manufacturers and exporters in Africa. And so that means we are actually walking the talk, as I have said earlier, get access to reliable suppliers in Africa through these associations to make sure you get access to professional suppliers. And we have done the work for you. That's what we are doing. And we are creating partnerships with these organizations to assist us in the process. So you also get access number 3 with the importing program, live training and access to real success stories. People who know exactly what they're talking about. And look at the beautiful smiles of my colleagues. Pamela, again from Uganda, based in Brussels, and Ate, he is originally from Cameroon, based in Norway. Having said that, Pamela is also selling in the United States, so she's also very well aware of the, what it takes to sell in the US. And we also bring in, guests and experts sometimes that share their stories. So Pamela and Ate are, they are running their importing businesses with African products, and you have seen the wonderful brands that they have created. They know the ups and downs, they know the steps that are required. And once a month, we are actually meeting live. So when you join the Importing on Africa training, you also receive live training once a month, similar to the one that we have here today, but less general and more specific around a certain issue or certain problem or certain milestone that you need to take. And Pamela and Ate are here to guide you in that process from their own experience. Here again is a quick look at their own brands. So Asante Mama is Pamela's brand, and Sawa is Ate's brand. And please give my dear colleagues a great shout out for creating high-end, beautiful African brands that are featuring now in Western supermarkets and retail outlets, where they are not just uplifting the lives of thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of farmers, but really, and I'm saying that not likely because Pamela has a huge, she has been in this business for over 10 years, and she has a huge group of suppliers of farm produce. I think, Pamela, if I'm right, over 10,000. So both of them are uplifting farmers. They're creating jobs in Africa, but above all, again, they're representing Africa on the global stage, and they're really a role model again to all of us. And I'm very proud that they're part of the importing program. So we can learn from them. You also get direct support via our private Facebook group. We still have a Facebook group, although Facebook is not getting the best media. We may need to change soon, but anyway, that is still the place, for better or worse at the moment, where most people are hanging out. So you get access via our Facebook group as well, where you can ask questions. So again, going back during the live hangouts, you can ask questions. You can take the microphone and ask your questions if you're struggling with anything. And you can also 24/7 write in our Facebook group and get some guidance there in writing as well, okay? Lastly, also access to our check lists, email templates to suppliers, invoice templates. We all have that ready for you to make it easier. Just a quick shout out, please remember that don't send random emails to hundreds of suppliers, okay, on our marketplace, because they too complain that they're getting too many of these emails and people don't really know what they want or what they're talking about. I think it's important that you take the first step and in really figuring out which products you would like to import. And then you reach out to 2 or 3 suppliers with a serious interest to order samples. All right. So this is a shout out to all of you existing importers and new importers. Don't just randomly put 20, 30 emails out there. Be serious, because these suppliers in Africa are getting a lot of requests from across the world, number one. And number two, our team here in Kigali gets the complaints then if people don't seem serious or they don't know what they're talking about and they're just sending random emails out there, all right? So just a quick reminder, it goes both ways. We also talk to our suppliers now a lot to please respond to your emails much faster. So that's a priority for our Kigali team here, and we're really on it. We're engaging very closely with our suppliers now through newsletters, through live sessions. We're giving training to our suppliers now for the first time. The way we train you, we are also training the suppliers. Some of them are top suppliers. They don't really need our training, but some of them are slow in terms of responsiveness. It's part of doing business with Africa. Don't give up. And if you have any challenges with emails, you can always reach out to our team in Kigali to get a support email as well. And we follow up with the suppliers for you. We also have sent a team to Ghana, meeting some of the suppliers. There's a lot happening, guys. Super exciting. We're really on the leading edge with that. All right. So here are a couple of testimonies. This is Jait. She's from the US, and she wrote, my experience with Dr. Harnet's program and e-commerce marketplace was excellent. It was God sent. I was able to just reach out to the suppliers once I decided these were the 2 products I wanted to go for. It really took out the anxiety of dealing with people who may or may not be ethical. The whole experience was extremely straightforward, and it gave me the confidence that my money went to where it was supposed to go to, which is to the suppliers in Africa. I would definitely do it again. I ordered 500 kg of moringa powder, that's about 1,000 pounds, and 500 kg of baobab powder. Overall, it was an excellent experience. Thank you so much, Jade. And she actually put a whole video together, a much longer video with a testimony. But for the purpose of this training, I just put it in writing and took out some of her paragraphs in the video. So she is an importing member. She had a business already in the wellness industry, Change for Africa. Shout out to her business as well, Jade. Check out Change for Africa. She's promoting healthcare products. And she also took a one-on-one coaching with Pamela. That is also something you get through our importing program. You get access, but not for free. I'm going to say that if you want to have one-on-one coaching, someone who just deals with you and meets you alone, you can pay extra for that as well. Both Pamela and Ate also provide that. So yeah, fantastic. Great success story. Here's a few more success story. Honora was the very first one. I had no business background, negative self-talk, fear, etc. So many times I wanted to quit. What I thought was almost impossible a few months ago now is possible. I started my import business and I can't believe that I have already made some sales. Chandler with his wife, also big fans in our importing program. He was there, I think last year, sitting in the room like you do guys today. I took a chance and spent the money to gain access to Dr. Harnet's importing course. I took full advantage of the platform and cultivated relationships with many suppliers in Ghana. We are deeply excited. Did I say that we're excited? Excited is an understatement. Shelby is doing, Chandler and his wife, they're doing different various products from Ghana, a whole range of products. Shelby is also one of our importers. She's importing tea. Dr. Harnet's guidance is actionable. She's direct and warm in her engagement with importer program participants. I highly recommend the importer program because she has helped me to grow as an entrepreneur in such a meaningful way. And last but not least, the testimony by Ate himself. Remember, I told you he's very successful now, and he will be your coach. But what I didn't tell you is that Ate, just like yourself, was also sitting in a free webinar, listening in and starting to join the program. So Ate is actually a former import trainee, and he has become so successful that he's now a coach in the program. And he says, Dr. Harnet, I want to thank all who have participated in our journey of launching out African products in Norway and soon in Sweden. We launched oils from 6 different countries, and the response has been very, very positive. The sales of the oils have been good and increasing. And I think Ate, this quote is actually a couple of years old now. So Ate has grown much further than that. So you're all very inspiring, and it just shows you what's possible. So here another picture of Honore with his warehouse. And Dr. Harnet, what does it cost to enroll in this? You probably ask. And we're coming to an end before we dive into the Q&A. Of course, for those of you who want to join the Africa Business in a Box, the Importing from Africa program, well, let's look at the market value you get. And I really want you to understand the market value. What I'm sharing now is not the actual cost, but the market value when you look elsewhere. First of all, importing courses online sell generally for around $2,000 US. If you're looking at importing courses, I mean, there's some for $1,000, but these are usually quick drop shipping courses. If you're looking at serious importing courses, mostly importing from China or so, they're selling for $2,000 US. Traveling to Africa yourself to find reliable suppliers will cost you at least another $2,000. And then if you find them at all. So what Chandler did, he went through our program and platform, and then he ticked all of them, and he then visited them because he simply wanted to meet them. That was his own choice, but it was easy to select them through our platform. Product lists, email templates, checklists, invoices are and rare insights by African importers are again $1,000 worth. Besides DHL shipping, I didn't even mention that we have a deal with DHL for 10 to 20% off. We are working right now on a bigger DHL deal. You know, there's no online course or platform for Africa anywhere. You simply cannot get the training, the live access to African coaches who have dealt with every single step. The DHL shipping deals, we're still working to increase them for shipping from Africa. All of that is simply not out there anywhere because no one else is doing it for Africa. All right. We are at the leading edge, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. We are pioneers in doing this. And we have an entire team of 8 or 9 people now, including your coaches and the team in Kigali. And Crystal, she's your go-to person for any problems you're facing with the course. We have an entire team of a total, I think, and there's Charlotte as well doing relationships. We have an entire team for 8, 9 people we are building this, all right? This is not just me anymore, the Africa Business Jumpstarters. We're growing fast and we have serious goals for you. So the market value, as you can see, is $5,000 US, all right? And usually you don't get importing program from Africa, you get importing from USA or China. This is unique. Now, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $5,000 US. You're probably thinking, Dr. Harnet, come on, make it short, come to the point. What is the investment? So are you ready? The investment for you today is $497 US lifetime access. You can also make 2 payments of $267 or 6 payments of $89. And Crystal is in the room right now. Crystal, please share the link. Crystal will share the link. If you're interested to join us, you will make the first payment today. The minimum is $89 that you're making today, and then you will be charged monthly if you're going for the payment plan. And it's lifetime access afterwards. You get immediate access today, by the way, and you have lifetime access. I want to say that the 6 payments of $89 is risky for me because I will never know if everyone is going to pay everything, you know, and some people may drop out. You may then lose, of course, your access. But what I'm trying to say is that we have made this payment available during the Corona crisis because we realized how many people are struggling financially, and we wanted to make this very easy for you to decide. So you can start today with $89. And what I'm also doing differently, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, from everyone else selling out online courses, when you pay in installments, you're not paying more. All other online programs, usually when you pay in installments, you end up paying a greater total. We don't do that. We just want to make it easier for you. Okay, so Crystal is sharing the link. For those of you on YouTube, I will be sharing the link below in the in the description box under the YouTube video after the live has finished. Okay, again, for those of YouTube on YouTube, please revisit and you will get access to the link after the live session has finished. All right, so that's it. That's it, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters. We are done with the training and we're going to dive into Q&A together with Pamela and Ate. For those of you who have questions, you know, again, this program has been running for the last maybe 4 years now, 3-4 years, but I truly believe it has never been as relevant as it is today. Before that, it was more about, getting started with Africa, doing business with Africa, creating ownership in our own narrative. Now, the way the world is going, it is highly relevant. Number one, in creating additional income streams. Number two, going into the food and natural skincare industry, really, which is pandemic proof and economic downfall proof. And number three, to become part of a community that can support each other, because the going is going to get tough, not in your African business, that too, but what I really mean is in the world. All right. And I think some of us are already feeling it. All right. So the $497, since I saw someone just asking, the $497 includes everything. It includes the importing course. It includes the access to the suppliers in Africa. Did I say how many we have? We have right now 150 plus suppliers, 150 plus, featuring over 250 products. And we're adding each month. So this, we just opened this at the beginning of the year in Kigali, right? In January 2021. So we are going to places, guys, together. So this is the first. This is the first. It's your, I don't know, your mini Alibaba for Africa, your tiny, tiny, tiny mini Alibaba for Africa. Are there challenges? Absolutely, because no one else is doing it. And one challenge is, for example, in Alibaba, you will get a response in 6 hours. In my keyboard, it can take a few days. Some of them are replying fast. Some of them take, it's part of doing business in Africa. Reach out to us, let us know. I've reached out to them. I've written 2, 3, 4 emails. We're gonna phone the suppliers up and make sure that they phone you. On top of it, we have an amazing team of web developers now, Rwandese and Eritreans, top guys. They know exactly what they're building now. And now we can actually track on our platform who is not responding to you. All right. And then we will call them up and how long they have not responded. So guys, we are on it. You have no idea what we are building here. We're like big things, but let's start small and keep thinking big. All right. So one more time, we dive into Q&A. Crystal, dear Crystal, please share the link again. For those of you who believe this is a good opportunity, you can get started for $89 today. $89, you get lifetime access immediately today to a pioneering African program, and you're going to be among the first. Look at the great names and the great examples we've seen today. People who are inspiring us, who are representing Africa on the global stage now with their products, and that's what you can do as well. All right, it's the right time. So we look forward to welcoming you. Crystal, please share the link again. And for those of you on YouTube, please go back to my YouTube channel and you will find the link under the video after the live has finished. Okay. All right. So let's dive into a Q&A and I will unmute you. Please don't unmute yourselves. Be so kind. Don't unmute yourselves unless you have been. I hope we don't hear any music now or people talking. Let's see. Test. It's quiet. Fantastic. I just unmuted everyone. I just took the little chains of your hand and feet. So you're unmuted. Please only take the microphone when you have been called, and Pamela and Ate will help me to answer your questions. I may something first and then hand over to the real experts. All right, so who goes first, please? I always take people who I can see first. So let me see who has a question. All right, I can see who's it? Yeah, Jimbo was waving. Annie and Luke, Go ahead, please. Take your microphones.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, well, I'm specifically asking for me, like, if, like, I'm in the USA, so do I need to have like a license for importing in the USA before I get started with the program?
Okay, that's a great question. I'm going to hand over in a second to Pamela. So my answer is, if you are just an agent or a broker where you connect the supplier and the buyer, you don't need an import license because you're not importing, you're just connecting the two. But if you are, if you want to purchase the produce yourself and put it in your garage or something, then you need to have an import license. But I don't think for samples. Pamela, please. Pamela has also operated in the US. Pamela, what do we need?
Hi everybody. That was, I think, a wonderful presentation. So yeah, just to answer your question quickly, to import into the US, obviously you need to have your company registered if you are the importer. And then secondly, you must make sure that you're registered with the FDA food facility. Always watch out for the FDA website because they keep changing their regulations and always introducing new regulations. So you really have to make sure that the products you're importing are conforming with all the food safety regulations. I think those are the main two areas for importing into the US. The company that is exporting the products from whichever African country must also be FDA registered. And you have to make sure that every product, every shipment is announced. If it is coming by air freight, it is what we call pre-shipment announcement. So it has to be announced at least 24 hours before the products depart from the exporting country. If it is going to come by sea freight, then you have a bit more time. But I recommend highly that you always work with an import, with a broker, with a customs broker. Otherwise, it's going to be really complicated to clear the goods.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. So as you have heard it, if you're the importer yourself, you need the business license, the import license, FDA certification, and a lot of our suppliers have that. So in our marketplace, you will actually see if they have the first certification. And if they have it, then it's all good, you know. And the last one was to have an import broker, right, Pamela? Someone, a customs broker, sorry. Someone will assist you with, with shipping that, okay? Was that helpful, Jimbo? Yes. Okay, fantastic. Annie, Sloan, go ahead. Sloan, Kiki, and Annette.
Oh, yes, hi. Hello. Can you hear me, Dr. Harnet?
Go ahead.
Hello. Okay. Yes, thank you for taking my question. And I'm not sure if this is going to be covered in the program. I did just sign up, so I'm glad that you share that information. I'm interested in knowing about financial transactions once you get your business model started. Will the program have a course that will offer information as far as, okay, now I have my business model, I'm making profits, but I live in another country, you know, how will that work? Will I be able to collect money from another country and living in, you know, outside of Africa?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, so the online training, the 12 modules do not have insights, but that's exactly why we have Pamela and Ate, because they're the experts during the live sessions who will really deal with some details. Ate, actually, are you still in the room? I know Ate was on the road. Ate, are you in the room? I would like to hear Pamela's and Ate's insights onto international transactions, Pamela.
That's one thing that we cover very deeply in the specific courses, but there are processes and there are procedures of ownership of the goods. Who takes ownership at the beginning and who takes ownership and at what point? That's where we have Incoterms coming in. What we call Incoterms is basically a regulation that defines who takes responsibility at which specific point. Generally in international trade, we are just using two, and that is free on board and cost and freight. So free on board means if the exporter, the supplier, their responsibility ends when they hand over the products to the shipping line or to the airline that is shipping the goods, and they've handed over the products to them, and they have the documents in their hands. So there's a process that they have to send you the documents, and you make the payments before those goods arrive to you. Otherwise, if you haven't paid, they can say, stop the goods anywhere or in the process. And cost and freight is something that is a system that we use until the port of importation. So that means the goods arrive in the US and you will receive the documents you have to pay before the customs authority, before the broker actually releases the goods to you. So if we have the Incoterms regulate the modes of payments, and that is something that is always really well handled. So you don't have to worry about that when you're doing trade.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Maybe Sran and everyone else, what I would like to add is we have seen there's different importing models. So again, the easiest is kind of the agent or the broker, where you would not necessarily even make the payment yourself. If you're just connecting the supplier with the buyer, and you get a commission from the supplier in Africa, 5 to 10%, for example, then it is the buyer in the US who would also put through the payment, or there's a possibility for him to put through the payment or for them rather than yourself. But the more complex versions where you're the one actually importing the goods yourself and maybe storing them in your garage or your warehouse, or you just took on the responsibility of importing and then handing over, then of course, it's a little bit more complex, and what Pamela said applies. You need to make sure that you're insured and the responsibilities are handed over at certain points, and who is responsible for what at what point. But that's where Pamela and Ati's real life experience come in. Ati, I can see you're in the room. If you're not driving, we don't want you to crash. If you're not driving, please take the microphone, Ati. Yeah, okay. He would already be taking the mic. Ati is fast. So, all right. So maybe he will join a little bit later. Next is Annie and then Keki.
Hi, I have two questions. The first one is that I have bought some berry from Ghana, and I'm trying to get it FDA approved, and I've been having a hard time. I was told that was already FDA approved in Ghana. Then later on, I found out that it was approved by the Ghana FDA, now USA FDA. So how can I convince the supplier to get a USA approved so that I don't have to go through the lengthy process? And the second question is that I'm having a hard time. I burned my credit card in the microwave, and I've been having a hard time to upload my information online. I've been talking to Crystal, but it has been like little, I don't know, not going like the way that I want to. So is there another method that I can pay beside the credit card?
Okay, thank you for that, Annie. So that's interesting. So you said that it was FDA for Ghana, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you to make us aware of that. So I need to pass this on to the team in Kigali, because we need to make sure there's no mix-up. We think they mean FDA in the US, and then they mean FDA Ghana. So this is something we shall look into. Please reach out to info@mykibo with this particular concern, and tell us who the supplier was. And then we can give you more concrete guidance in this. What I would say is, see if you can find an alternative supplier who already has the FDA for the US in place. That would be the fastest and easiest way for you. Because even if you convince them to go through the FDA in the US, it will take time on their end. So usually in our marketplace, what we have done is suppliers are pointing out the certificates that they have, international certification. And also now we added the export experience they have. And some are saying they have only intra-African trade export experience. So then that's not a supplier I would choose if you want to trade into the US or the UK, for example. Choose one that has clicked, they have international export experience. Okay. But yeah, Annie, write us an email in this regard. And as regards to payments, yeah, you can write to Crystal, info@africajumpstart, or yeah, we can see what we can work out for you. Usually it's credit card, but we can make a bank transfer or something like that. All right. For those of you who do not have credit cards, we'll find a way. Okay, Annie, you're muted now.
I'm sorry. The supply that I'm working with, it is outside my keyboard. So I'm sorry, I did not clarify that.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I would look for a supplier that already has FDA, certification to make your life easier. That's the step I would take, Annie. Yeah. See if you can find an alternative. All right. Okay. Kiki, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kiki? And then Annette. Go ahead, please. Oh, I think you're frozen, Kiki. Okay, now there you are. Kiki, and then Annette.
Hi. My question is, I found a supplier for coffee, and I want to do the agent style, but how much would I put on top of that, like the price that I'm getting from the wholesaler distributor? For my,
the margins, how much margin, how much? Okay.
Yes.
So I think, Kiki, important is that you start with really putting down, possibly in an Excel sheet, very detailed, what is your actual cost. So there's the cost of the product, but it doesn't stop there. You have to add the cost of shipment, the cost of insurance for the shipment.
Okay.
Let me just mute everyone for better audio. Then you will have other costs possibly, in terms of communication cost. Maybe you have a small office. I don't know, whatever cost you have, break that down and put per unit so that you understand your actual cost for the product. That's one thing. So now you know, okay, it needs to be higher than that, first of all, right? The second then is to see what the market offers. So when you are looking at coffee, 1 kg coffee, what kind of coffee do you have? Maybe you have grade 8 specialty coffee. So then you need to see, okay, what does grade A specialty coffee trade for or retail for in our area? So you need to see what the competitors, what kind of price range they're offering. And it needs to be that kind of coffee, because coffees have different grades and therefore the price variations are big. So it's not just 1 kg coffee. Is it Robusta coffee or is it specialty Arabica coffee? Very different. And then once you have your actual cost, and then you know what is the competition trading, and then you get a good idea of what your price could look like. I would say don't make your profit margins too small, because you want to, first of all, make money, but also mitigate risk. There may also be always unforeseen cost. So if possible, put at least 25, 30, even up to 50% on top of it. But again, it depends on your actual cost and the market competition. And Ati is in the room now. Ati, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Are you still driving? Or can we actually see your beautiful smile?
We can't really see me today. I think we'll hold with the picture. But I'll make myself available as soon as possible. So okay, let's do with the content.
For those of you joining the program, you will soon see Ati live, because it's very pleasant to to see him live. All right, Ati will join us by voice. That's fine. All right, Kiki, was that helpful? Annette is next, please. Annette, you need to unmute yourself. Yes, please, go ahead.
I joined one of your programs and I lost my login information. I don't know what happened to it.
Yes, please email Crystal at info@africajumpstart.com. Crystal, can you put the email in, please? info@africajumpstart.com. For all of you who have questions in regards to payment or something like that, you can email Crystal. You're welcome. Who goes next? Let me see who else is waving. Titans, Abdul Kader, and Kubrom. Go ahead. Titans. Okay, Abdul Kader, Kubrom.
Hello, Doctor. Good evening.
Good evening, Abdul Kader. How are you?
I'm very fine. We are always glad to hear your lectures. Really, it's very rich of information. And in this regard, I have one question. As you know, we are based in Dubai, and we are very much interested to have trading business with African market. According to you, your platform can provide us with companies that might be interested to buy our products, and in that regards, we can also buy their products.
Right. Okay. Thank you for the question, Abdul Kader. So absolutely. I mean, trade absolutely goes both ways, and Africa also imports a lot of products, including from Dubai, needless to say. However, I have always been a promoter of African exports and less so of African imports into Africa. And there are two reasons. Because African exports are promoted by African governments. Of course, they want to export more out of Africa to keep more of the money and the foreign currency in Africa, while importing into Africa means they're spending more, which creates often a trade deficit and is really a major struggle for African economies. And therefore, what we see, Abdul Kader, is that more and more policies in Africa are export friendly, and imports into Africa are being made more difficult. Some are just completely banned, or there's taxation is increased, and really sometimes in very considerate ways. So for example, imports of cars into Nigeria, at one point, the import tax was raised up to 70%. 70% of the value of the car. Why? Because Nigeria wanted to create its own car manufacturing industry, and it didn't want imports into Nigeria to hinder that project, that effort. And therefore, as an Africa trainer, I'm looking for sustainable business models and for business models that foremost serve Africa. So therefore, I've been promoting exports out of Africa. Having said that, of course, some products can simply not be found in Africa, and they need to look elsewhere outside of Africa. So in that sense, I can give you, we cannot really help you with the program. The program is not really, created or designed for that. But I want to give you a couple of tips. Number one, I would look into the construction industry, for example, or manufacturing of certain products that need ingredients from outside. The food industry to some extent, and the construction industry is a very good one also. And then I would look into countries in Africa that hardly produce anything themselves. So some of these countries are a little bit higher risk. So for example, looking at DRC, Congo, or looking at Angola, where the manufacturing locally is so non-existent that they highly still depend on imports from other countries. But then there are higher risks. So if you want to go for lower risk countries, again, I would start with not too far from Dubai. I would start with East African Community, where you can also trade within the region. And I would mainly go for Tanzania, Kenya, and then possibly Rwanda and Uganda. So these are just quick tips, but unfortunately our program doesn't help you with that.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Kubram, actually, Abdulkader, we are looking for buyers from Dubai. Maybe you can help with that. We're actually actively, our team here in Kigali are actually reaching out to importers and retailers in Dubai who are looking for products that Africa has. And I mean, after all, you know, your country is very much based on tourism and so on. There's only so much you can grow in a desert. So I think there's a lot that Dubai would require from Africa. You know, we have, for example, honey. You know, we know Arab nations like a lot of sweets, the honey. We have nuts, coffee, tea, and very expensive skincare products, which I think a lot of women in Dubai would also appreciate. So I really believe there is a lot of opportunity also for you. And otherwise, we would love to hear from you. Please contact my team if you can assist with finding us buyers in Dubai for African products. We would love to cooperate with you, Abdulkader.
Me too, also. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. Please write me an email. We have
Sure.
difficulties finding the buyers in Dubai for African products. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Okay. Bye. Thank you so much. Kubram is next.
Hello, Dr. Harnet. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Not the best audio, but go ahead.
Okay, hold it. Let me try to do better.
Maybe you can be short, so our ear doesn't hurt too much.
Yeah, it does. I'm kind of right.
Maybe let me take one other person until you sort this out. Viklan, please. And then back to Kubram. Sorry, Kubram. Viklan and then Kubram, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Harnet. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here. I am actually from St. Lucia in the West Indies, and I operate a free zone in the south of the island. And we are looking for actually food products for our retail market in St. Lucia. But one of the question I wanted to ask is sourcing the products in Africa, and if one company does not supply all of what you want, and to be able to get different companies perhaps in one African country, but the ability to get companies that will be able to consolidate purchases from different vendors in one country. Would that information be available on your website that we can take advantage of?
Okay, thank you, Viklan, for that. So it really depends on the quantities. We have smaller suppliers and we have large ones. The ones that are aggregating natural products from, for example, let's say shea butter. The women who really produce the shea butter are not the women that will feature online. You know, they're rural women. And so we have people who are aggregating those products and then selling them or selling them on. But Ate, please come in, Ate and Pamela, in regards to how, we have suppliers that are basically really offering large quantities if you are looking for large quantities. But Ate and Pamela, maybe give your insights into how we can help Viklan, or what Viklan should do if he's looking for larger quantities of one produce, and how that can be aggregated among several suppliers and making sure that the quality is also the same.
Yeah, Dr. Harnet, do you hear me? This is Ate.
Yes, and then Pamela. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. What you just touched on was the first thing I wanted to say. When you aggregate products from the same country, from many different suppliers, you have a mixture of quality. So by the time you're needing those volumes, you may have already established your product into the market with a certain specification. So you run the risk of aggregation being a challenge for your quality of your product. Secondly, I would think when you get to the point in your business when you need more than our suppliers can supply on the platform, it might be advisable for you to go to the country yourself if you've come that far, and then work with your suppliers. If you are working with stable suppliers who have been in the market for long, like Pamela's company and her farm, they might reach out. They would know what to do with the quality. They would know where to source. They would do the reliability of the value chain for you. But if you are working with mid-sized suppliers and you suddenly get big orders, I would recommend that you reach out yourself. Also, aggregation, as you know, increases price very much because that's a middle person who may want to do keep a warehouse, reach out to many people in the same country. So it brings its own complexities. But as Dr. Harnet says, we have many suppliers on the platform who have large volumes to supply. So there is much to get from the platform. But if you ever get into that stage, you might reach out to the team too. We might work with you to help you source your products better. If Pamela has anything to add.
Okay, thank you so much.
Very well.
Pamela, did you want to add?
No, as Ate has just mentioned, the key issue is really to, I think, identify one company whom you can visit and make an agreement with them. Sometimes also it's possible to work with a forwarding agent who can take that responsibility for you, and they will check quality, and if necessary, you can get instructed. Make sure that each one of the smaller suppliers can have a sample delivered to SGS for analysis, just to relieve the forwarding agent of the responsibility. But definitely, if you're going to source, as they were mentioned, from the different suppliers, you need to have one point of reference. I think that's, as Dr. Harnet said, you just have to travel and get that one point of reference. But I believe that probably in the platform, that is a unique case, and we may just have to look into it if you write to Dr. Harnet.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Appreciate it.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you. Yeah, so if it's a product related product related question, then Crystal will also forward the emails onto our team in Kigali. All right, let me just mute everyone again for best audio. And yeah, Kubrom, you want to try again, and then Nakaba?
Thank you, Dr. Harnet. So I have a very short question for you. My first question is, I'm very interested in chicken farm, and the second is like doing like farm actual, helping the smallholders, like smallholder farmers. I even have around 10 people here that we can work together in Africa, but I couldn't find the relevant like kind of information, or I can, even if I search, I couldn't find like enough that can help me out what's going on the ground. Do you, like, how risky is it to do like a chicken farm and plus the farming? Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you for the question. I will answer, yeah, thank you. I will answer shortly because today's session really focuses more on the import and the trade and not on other business models. But after all, you can trade chicken if you have to. So let me just answer it very, very quickly. I mean, absolutely, there's a huge demand generally for egg and chicken and meat. One of your biggest challenges will be to very often compete with some of the imports. In some countries, they're importing the eggs or they're importing the chicken meat from Brazil, for example, at a very cheap rate and en masse. And one of the biggest struggles then is to compete with these imports. So it's very important that you understand the market in which you want to enter. I truly believe it's important that you go into a low risk, high opportunity market in the beginning, and a low risk market, for example, in East Africa, maybe Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, or in West Africa, it may be Ghana, Senegal. In Southern Africa, it may be Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, to name a few. So these are low risk, high opportunity markets where I would start. But then you have to understand the poultry industry in that particular market. You know, is there high competition? So your biggest challenge will be high competition with cheap imports. And the second challenge will be chicken feed. Is chicken feed, local chicken feed available, or do you need to import that as well? So you need to understand the poultry market and assess those two biggest challenges in each market, the imports and the chicken feed. And, you know, once you have done that and you see there is a high demand, put yourself, you know, position yourself maybe as someone who offers organic chicken or so on. It's very possible. We have a lady in the Africa Business Academy who just shared a couple of days ago her poultry business in Togo, and they're doing very well. So it's all possible, you know. Important is that you do a risk assessment, and a lot of people forget to do that. So this is my quick 2 cents, and I hope that was helpful, and go back to our import export. So Viklan, Nakba, Marta, Leonie, go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead. Whoever goes first.
Okay, I'll go first. Thanks, Dr. Harnet, for the informative session. That's really appreciated. I'm based here in Canada, but originally I'm from Zimbabwe. So I've got 2 questions. The first one really is about logistics and value addition. I realized that you know, you've got your suppliers, but I was just wondering how they are sorting out the supply chain and the financing as well of you know, the products that they produce. So I am currently working on a microfinancing model, and we are working on supporting farmers in Zimbabwe to have access to finance, which is something that is really difficult. And I wanted to roll this out to the rest of Africa and make sure that there's access to financing and the crowdfunding platform as well, which people from those different countries will be a part of and be able to empower the farmers on the ground. So just wanted to have a discussion with you on that. And then the second part of the logistics is, you know, to see those large ships transporting products from our African shores to the north. I'm just wondering whether there's an opportunity there for people like ourselves to get into that space and be able to have those logistics sorted out and be able to have a way of transportation of the goods and empower ourselves. And then the last point is regarding in Zimbabwe, for instance, in the Middle East, there is a market for beef, for meat. I saw a gentleman from the Middle East. I'm just wondering whether, because in Zimbabwe, the region where I come from, it's really good for producing livestock, and we've got a lot of livestock in the region where I come from. And I'm just trying to see if we can create some synergies and get into the Middle East as well. So I know that my questions are broad-based, but I just wanted to discuss that with you and see what we can do. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you, Nakba. So here's a couple of things in regards to, and I will be short because you had 3 questions and I want to give everyone the opportunity. So quickly, in regards to microcredits for farmers, and so absolutely needed. I mean, Pamela is working with farmers. I'm sure she can shed even more lights into that. But if you're new in the microcredit business, I would actually go for traders first. So this could be small traders of food items or food products in Africa. And simply because traders very often can turn the money around very quickly and they can pay you back in 2 to 3 months. Whereas farmers can hardly do that. There needs to be a whole period of harvest in order to pay you back. And if the harvest has gone bad, then they can't pay you back. So there's a 6 to 12 months payment period with a greater risk. So if you are in the business for the first time, I would choose the lower risk business model, which would be with small traders, because they make a quick buy and a sell, and usually they turn it around in 2 to 3 months. and it's much less risk for a first-time entry. The second thing is in regards to logistics. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, there is still a lot of space to come in the logistics industry as well. I mean, it's really missing left, right, and center in Africa. It's still a huge challenge. It's very often very complex. There's a lot of area for you to come in, even with simple tools such as tracking your shipments, you know, or even transportation that is refrigerated. So a lot of the transporters in Africa, the food actually goes bad or is damaged during the transport because there's hardly any refrigeration during transport available. So solutions in this regard, you know, is a huge opportunity in Africa and very, very much needed. And lastly, I don't know if Abdul Qadir is still in the room, but yes, the Middle East already is importing a lot of food from Africa, especially East Africa, I have to say, because of the proximity. I'm not sure if it would make sense in terms of financial sense to come all the way from Southern Africa, something maybe to look into, but it's already happening. So it may be good to look into the kind of trades that are happening in Saudi Arabia and Dubai and what kind of contracts are in place there. So that is my quick answer. Pamela, I mean, we're talking really today about trade and importing, and I want to stay on the subject, but I let Paula say something quickly in terms of microcredits for farmers. But this is the last shout out to all of you. We have general sessions where we are talking about all sorts of business models. Today, I really want to start. I really want to talk about the importing from Africa. Pamela, in regards to microcredits for farmers, what are your insights?
Okay, there's a big need for microcredit, but I think the best options could be to work with microcredit institutions that are already existing, and or if you have the capacity to do a lot of due diligence and set the targets, what kind of farmers, because you cannot really give microcredit to all farmers who don't have capacity to probably put irrigation or to have a complete management in terms of pests and disease management. So I think that to go that way, you'd have to be very selective. What are the criteria that are going to de-risk? So you have to just think about de-risking your financing. And I think that's going to be pretty much dependent on the type of farmer, what are the activities that they're putting on. And we know that we have a huge problem with climate change, and that's probably a major area of focus. If they're going to do irrigation and you just focus on only credit for farmers carrying out irrigation so that they supply goods during the dry seasons. I think that's, Dr. Harnet said, we have to do this quickly. That's probably the only area. I'll just go narrow it really down to a niche market and focus there.
Right, so climate change solutions or partnering with existing microcredit institutions. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to take 5 more or 6 more, the ones that are queuing right now. 6 more, we shall close in the next 15 minutes. Marta, Leonie, Angela, Muvunyi, Samuel, and Tupac, and Benita. Okay, that's it. So if you raise your hands afterwards, I know so many of you want to ask questions. Kiki, we already spoke, right? We already did. Yeah. So that's it, and when we shall close. So before I take the next question, I just want to make a quick shout out to join our Importing from Africa program. Crystal is sharing the link in the chat box. It is a pioneering program, and you get lifetime access. Basically, today we're giving you a taste. We're giving you a taste what it's going to look like. The training, the coaching, and we will be a much smaller group in the live sessions that we have every month, where we can really dive in to your questions in much more detail. Today, we're giving you a taste. And those of you on YouTube, you will find the link under the video after the live session. All right, Marta, go ahead, please.
Thanks very much. I just want to say thanks for the platform, and the impact that you have had across Africa is powerful. It's my second time on this platform in your training sessions. I'll make it quick and very fast. My first question is, what is the impact of the shipping backlog on the supply of the products coming from Africa? Because you've talked about it as one of the global problems that are affecting trading today. If one is to maybe get a buyer and you want to stand in that position of an agent, or how long are you going to bargain for the time for the products to arrive? Because we know there's a problem with the truck drivers. There's a problem with the containers, backlog of containers. You don't know when it's going to arrive. What are you going to promise your buyer? That's one. Number two, I'm planning to come back to Uganda and join the industry of food processing, the food processing sector. I was wondering, is there any institutions, are there any organizations that hire out machinery? Because Uganda is landlocked, it's very difficult to bring in machinery, just like you talked about. Governments don't really support imports, they give high tax. Is there any organizations in the countries in East Africa? I don't mind going to Kenya to get some, but is there anyone who is supplying machinery for starters? Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Thank you so much, Marta. All right, I'm going to mute everyone for better audio. All right, so Ate maybe on the logistics, and then Pamela on machinery lending in Uganda. I just want to quickly say something in regards to Ate and Pamela, what I have not shared so far, and that is that Ate has also worked, you know, I don't know, a couple of decades now in the logistics industry. He's working, or he's been working for one of the top companies in Europe, in pharmaceuticals, being in charge of logistics. So Ate knows the inside out of logistics also, which is again, expertise you get when you join the Importing from Africa program. And Pamela, again, you know, she has worked the entire value chain from primary production at farm level up to branding. And Pamela also has worked many years for the Food and Agricultural Organization for the United Nations, really working with African farmers for her entire career, really. So you have some very, very knowledgeable coaches. So Ate, anything on the supply chain and the backlog? How do you foresee the situation, or how to circumvent it? Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, the answer to the question, what are you going to promise your buyer? That would always be what the shipping lines promise you. So you have to deal with what the shipping lines promise you, and that is what you promise your buyer. This is a global situation. It's not your business that causes it. So I think most buyers would appreciate that. Secondly, the container backlog, Africa is still being spared from it. We think within the next 6 months, Africa will be affected. You know, containers on those vessels or the ship, they're actually marked to trade between certain parts of the world. So a container leaves China, it goes to the US, that same container has to come back to China, and they have to circulate about 5 times a year. Containers that have been going between Africa and the US and Africa and Europe have not been affected in the same way, except when we had the issue with the canal. So we have been spared. The prices for container shipment have gone up maybe, I don't know, from $2,000 to $10,000 between China and the US. Sellers and buyers between Africa and Europe are still enjoying the same prices they had before Corona. So if you're getting into the business at the moment, you will not really be affected. But the global increases that will come, or the consequences that will come out of Corona, will not be your business problem. It will be a global problem. And that will be basically a business decision, not necessarily an African business decision. So you would have to meet challenges, say, within the next 6 months, maybe an increase in price, maybe a shortage of containers. We're still looking, the market is still not really sure where it will go, but Africa is still being spared at the moment. And that also depends on what you're trading. If you're trading products that may get destroyed or bad, if if they're coming with reefer containers or cold chain containers and they have to arrive within 30 days and the shipping market makes them last another 30 days, then you might get into trouble. But you want to get into these details depending on the product when you've had your market in place, when you have your business in place. So you can come back to us with this when you have settled or when you found what product you want to offer and how long the shipping lines have offered you for shipping times, and we'll help you with that. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Ate. And Pamela, maybe your own experience in regard to the shipments, otherwise straight away to machinery landing in Uganda.
I think Ate has pretty much covered the issues of shipping and all the container backlogs which we are still facing. The thing about Uganda now, there's a diaspora policy. And I imagine that when you'd be one of those people who are considered as a diaspora entrepreneur. All the Uganda embassies are supporting the diasporans. And once you're in Uganda, if it depends also on the size of the investment and the type of product that you would like to do. Actually, the only type of machinery that you find are coming from China. They're not necessarily bad if you don't want to import your own machines. Of course, when you import when you're importing equipment for agricultural processing, any agro-food processing, that is going to come into the country duty-free and VAT, and you don't pay any taxes, you don't pay VAT, and you just have to really make sure that you have a good clearing agent here who knows all the customs regulations. But when you import equipment for processing in Uganda, it's completely duty-free. Also, you may need to contact the Uganda Investment Authority, who will give you a lot more information on that. But definitely, we are now very busy with the development of the diaspora policy, where I'm actually participating. I'm one of the main people in the designing of this policy. And we want to see that the diasporans are actually put in an advantageous position because they're the ones who are emitting all the money. And so there is going to be a program that is very well organized to support the diaspora in all the issues that you're raising now. So whenever, I think that the best thing you can contact the embassy, or when you're ready, you can contact me directly.
Thanks very much. That's really, yeah, that's very helpful. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Well, and the wonderful thing is, Marta, of course, when you're in the importing from Africa program, you have access to Pamela all the time, right? So she can assist you, especially since she also knows Uganda very well, it's her country. Leonie, next, Angela.
Definitely joining. Thank you.
Okay, is it my turn? Greetings.
Yes, Angela and Leonie. Okay, Angela first, then Leonie, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Harnet. I am an ABA jump starter. I signed up some months ago. I haven't utilized the platform to the maximum, so I need to do better with that. But I've been working in Tanzania for about a year now, and I have two products there, both beverages. One is a new production, so we're doing R&D. We piloted it, some juice, and then we also have banana flour and powder. And so we're working through the production strategy. My one question is, the area of the country in which we're producing is kind of out the way. And so the logistics are complicated, but even if we can get it to the water or get it to the pier, I'm not able to figure out how to get it out, to export it out and to import it at a cost effective. So I guess my question is around cost-effective strategies to import. Do I have to be part of AGOA, or do I have to be part of these, where do I go to navigate to decrease the import cost? The second product is a wine product. It's already ready, branded, it's in production, and the same thing. We want to scale that particular product with a partner and bring it over to our markets, but it's just incredibly expensive to ship. So I'm just looking for some direction on how to manage the costs of importing.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you. But did I understand correctly that these are Tanzanian products or products from elsewhere into Tanzania? Because you said imports and then you said exports as well.
They're Tanzanian products.
Yes. Okay. So here's what I would suggest. So basically, you're interested in exporting them out of Tanzania, and my quick advice is that since you're new to that industry of exporting, I would start regional. So instead of thinking about the ports and how you're getting this out of the country across the ports, I would look at the East African community, the EAC, which is actually, you're lucky, the best trade region within Africa, because it's the smallest trade region, but it is the most sufficient trade region. And you can easily export across borders, be it into Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and so on. So I would focus regionally and get your export experience this way. First of all, it's much easier because it's transport via the roads. And second of all, in terms of the quality assurance, you know, that barrier will be much lower than you wanting to export into the world. So start regionally, use trucks, find potential buyers in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and gain your export experience this way, and see how you can make improvements to the quality and the quantity of your shipments, including the warehousing. And then the international out of the ports would be your next growth stage. Does that help as a quick tip strategy?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Okay, great. Leonie, you go ahead. And by the way, sorry, in regards to the drinks out of Tanzania, you know, see if you can find the hotel industry, the local and regional hotel industry, because they want to bring to tourists something authentic. So if you have like a traditional or a traditional alcoholic beverage, the hotel industry within Tanzania or possibly neighboring countries, they can be very good buyers. Hotel and restaurant industry. All right, Leonie, please go ahead. Leonie, you have to unmute.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. I just signed up for the program, so really excited. Thank you for sharing
Fantastic. Welcome.
Yeah, so you have a strong brand, so anything you sell, I'll buy. I just want to tell you that.
Thank you, Leonie.
Yeah, the success stories that you shared earlier, I want to know if the import or brokers, basically what I'm trying to figure out is the ease of entering the market or starting. I am particularly interested in organic, gluten-free, soy-free, wholeness skincare product, right? So, and I also understand supply chain because I worked for a semiconductor company doing business in China to the US. That's difficult. So I am just trying to figure out what is the easiest way to start. And then on the website, on my Kibo, which is a beautiful site, by the way, there is an annual subscription and lifetime access. There's fees. Would those fees be waived as a result of signing up for the program here today? And I also plan on doing the coaching offline. So thank you. And those are my questions.
No, I'm myself unmuted. Fantastic. Let me start and then I'll hand over quickly to Ate and Pamela. So the first thing first, yes, you will get lifetime access to our marketplace, and that means you will get a code when you are signing up to the Importing from Africa program. You will get a code and you can enter that code, and as a result of that, you get a free lifetime access to the marketplace. That's one thing. In regards to how to get started, how easy is it to get in? I really want to hear also from Ate and Pamela. You know, maybe Ate hasn't been as long in business, so he will remember how it is like starting from nowhere. And I myself, as I said, I shared earlier, I did a test. I'm not an importer, but I wanted to test how easy it is. And so I will repeat, I had imported tea from Kenya and gluten-free cassava flour from Rwanda, and I had those boxes sitting in my living room as samples. And then I said, I'm going to take an hour each day to reach out to potential buyers. And I did just that. I had about 30 potential buyers. That was for a German market because I was based in Germany at the time. And I did an hour each day from Monday to Friday. And among those 30, after 10 days, I had my first expression of interest from the purchasing department of Rewe, which is one of the leading supermarket chains in, I mean, this may be your Tesco in the UK, or your Sainsbury in the UK, or your, I don't know what you have, your Walmart or Costco or something like that in the US. Huh? So Rewe is that in Germany. And I had I got an expression of interest from the person in charge. They have different departments for different products because they're huge. So I had an expression of interest from the person of charge of flowers, you know, and that kind of department. And he wanted me to send them a sample. And the second was from a family bakery in Germany, also chain bakery, but smaller. And they also wanted the sample. You know, I never got to really do it. The pandemic hit, all sorts of things. But interestingly enough, 1 year later, the family bakery in Germany remembered me and emailed me again and saying, you contacted us a year ago or so. Are you still able to provide this gluten-free flour? And I said, oh, well, now I'm in Kigali and so on, you know. But that's exactly what it takes. Once people are aware of you, they may not buy immediately also, but they may remember you and get back to you. So I found to get those expression of interest very easy. As I said, I did the same on Thursday with London, reaching out to potential buyers as expression of interest. I have not sold anything, but to get an expression of interest is the first step. Your second step is then to do a sample. And I found it to be very simple, to be very honest. How many then are really buying from you? That's for Ate and Pamela to answer. I haven't sold anything because I didn't go that far. It was just test. So Ate, Pamela, everyone wants to know, how easy is it to get expression of interest and people to buy your products?
I may comment a bit. First of all, relating to the question the lady asked, I think she said she wanted gluten-free, soya-free, and then she said skincare products. That's one place to start. The reason we're creating these products, of course, is because we want to make money for ourselves, we want to do business with Africa, but we also have to know we're making this for consumer base. What does the consumer want? A gluten-free skincare product really doesn't mean anything to a consumer because you don't get any gluten reaction outside your skin. So, but you see skincare products on which is written gluten-free. That is just an exaggeration. In the beginning, you want to keep it simple. Find out, as Dr. Harnet says, what products in your market are trending, or what are people looking for? What is selling a lot? Is there anything you can do to bring those products from Africa in any form of differentiation? Either they are dried fruits, which have become in the West some kind of plastic fruits. I don't know what they look like, mango and pineapple. They're not organic anymore, but people are still buying them. Maybe you can bring an organic variant of that and bring back the organic fruits into the market. You want to look for something that people want. The next thing is, I think you want to look at the agent model versus brand versus trading for others. In my sense, I started with a deep intention to create my own brand, to have my name, to create something that will follow me, follow my family. So I started from that end. And I'll promise you, it was not the easiest path for someone who had not done it before. Would I recommend people to do something else? I don't know. It depends on what you really burn for. I'm mentoring with one student from the program who wants to create her own brand and has the same desire. She's tried other things, but the desire to create her own brand is what she wanted. We worked through for 3 months and she's launching in December. So it really depends on what people want, what you really want, because what you want that you really burn for is what is going to keep you up at night or keep you going when challenges come. So to start, I would say find a product that the world wants, organic products. There are very many products on the continent you can find. You go to MyKeeper, you find very many of them. find in your local market what you can start with, draw different parts. If you're a distributor, what would it take? What would it cost me? How much money do I have? What margins would I make? And maybe if you segment into distributor, own brand, and you find in there how much work is needed, how much money is needed to start, and you can select for yourself what is best. But that is a journey that you have to do. Take your time to do this and do it properly. Because once you start, as Dr. Harnet says, once you start sending those messages, you can send messages to 30 people, 5 will respond immediately, 1 would buy, another 3, and then you would send a message again, maybe after 3 months to the same people, another 2 would respond, some would forget. It is difficult for people to put you into their routine, either their purchasing routine or their shop routine or their consumer routine. It takes a while. But sometimes you hit and you just get in. Sometimes it takes, in Norway, they say it takes 6 months to 1 year to get a new product onto the shelves. But that's different. That's from market to market. That's the physical shelf. But online, you can start immediately. So there are many parts you can take, but be very diligent about it. Get some advice from the platform when needed. And if you really, really want to go deeper, you can get a coach. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to let Paula also say a couple of sentences, and then I'm going to take the last 2 or 3. But before I do, I want to see more of you on video. So let's see, we are slowly dropping off the video. So let's see some more beautiful faces. Let's fill our screen with beautiful faces. Okay, can I see you're active? Can you like wave maybe so I can see we're all alive and focused? Fantastic, great. Okay, good. You know, we never want to let the energy drop. Business and success is all about the right energy, okay? So, Pamela, since I'm going to give this another airtime to Pamela, because I think this is a very interesting question for everyone. How easy is it to get buyers? And then we'll take our last 2 or 3 questions, and then we shall close. Yes,
Dr.
Pamela.
I clarify something really quick.
Oh, okay, Leonie, really quick. Yes,
yes,
go ahead.
So that I will be my own customer, meaning I'm gluten intolerant for food. So that diligence has been done. I am a health coach, so I know people want gluten-free product to ingest. And then the skincare is just overall trying to explore, basically put African product on the market in the US. So that homework has already been done and the focus is really clear. I just wanted to react to what Ate was saying earlier.
Okay. All right, Pamela, your 2 cents?
Yeah, so I just needed to know, are you more focused on developing a brand or importing bulk material? Because the energy and the amount of time that you have to put in the two categories is completely different. What I did when I started my business in 2007, I decided to import container loads because it is much easier. It goes to one customer. It's not easy to find that one customer. It means that you have to do lots of prospecting still. But once you get an order, it's one big order and it is capital intensive. That's the main difference. With your own brand, which I seem to think that you're oriented towards that direction, it's going to take you a lot more time. And as Ate has already said, you really need, it's a lot of diligence, which you said a lot of work needs to go into it. Just consider a brand like a child. It takes that time to grow. People will respond to you. Customers, whether you're going to put it in the retail chains or you're going to sell online. Online, yeah, you might sell a bit faster, but there's a lot of competition as well online. So you might want to find a mixed model where you sell a bit online and a bit with the retailers. Prospecting the customers, never ever get worried when a customer says no, as long as your product is good. If you believe in the product, just keep going back to them. They will come back to you 6 months later, 1 year later. I have had customers who have come back to me 2 years later, and that's just okay. Most important is to find a launching customer. That's always the key there, because then you're going to use that launching customer to prospect the others and to show them the product is really selling in another retail store or another retail chain. So I'm really the person for business, for a business plan. work on business plan, and I really go quite detailed into the business plan. Does help you to orient yourself towards where you want to go. So you may want to start from there, and that means that you're going to do a lot of research about your market. You're going to find out who your prospective customers are, and you're going to understand what is really, really demanded in the market. I would start from there, then decide whether you're going to sell bulk material to people who are going to use that as ingredients into their own brands, or you're going to use to do your own brand. Whichever way, you know, it's difficult to say that it's really easy, and it's also difficult to say that it's, you know, it's hard. It's just the amount of time you're willing to put into it. Okay.
All right. Okay, we shall have our last two questions and then we shall close. Muvunyi and Tupac, please.
Hello, Dr. Harnet. I just want to say thank you very much for this platform. It's really, you're going to leave a legacy more than many presidents in Africa, what you are doing right now, because you're going to help a lot of families, and I'm going to be one of them. In 2012, I went back to Rwanda. I'm Rwandese, but located in Canada right now. And I lost $100,000. If that time you had this course, I could not lose that money, because I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest, but I wanted to just have this energy to go to start something in there and to start exporting stuff here in the West. So I have two questions. And the first question, they just answered it with Leonie. She asked it already, but I just want to know, how do you do the study of your niche to know exactly, like, all those inputs? I know Ate answered a little bit of that, and Pamela, she mentioned something like business plan. So this question goes to Pamela. How do you prepare that business plan so you can eliminate all the risks and to have much chance to succeed in your business? That's number one. And number two, the prospecting, to find that one time, the first buyer here in the West, because at the end of the day, you are producing, you're gonna be a supplier in Africa. You are a seller, but if you don't have a buyer, then there's no money on the table. How do you prospecting? Do you go door to door? Do you pick up the phone calls, or do you use the email? How do you guys find the first buyer? Thank you.
Hey, Muvunyi, thank you so much for your kind words also. We appreciate it. Pamela, the question goes to you.
Yes, so the whole purpose of the business plan is precisely because it's divided into several segments, which are going to force you to take your phone or to take your computer or to take a trip to a trade fair. You take a trip to a trade fair, not as somebody who's going to put and make the exposition yourself, but you're going to discover what is happening there. It's really about going around with your business card and understanding who is participating in such a trade fair. What are they selling? What is the quality of the products they're selling? Where is it coming from? So you pick a lot of information, and that means you just simply have to talk to people. There's no two ways about it. So whether you're going to talk to people on the phone, they're very probably going to be, more willing to answer your phone than to answer an email. I find that when the business owners are already established and they're big corporations like the ones I deal with, they will probably not answer your email unless the price is lower than what they're actually paying to buy those similar products. But if you go to an expo, you'll find all of these people there. And that's what I did in the beginning. I just went around literally everywhere, but I also had a coach. I had a mentor who had been in the business before. So the key issue, the different key things there, get somebody who has already done it before to help you navigate that market. Secondly, just make sure that you talk to people. That's the only way out. Show people samples and show them the pricing and show your prospective customer, how they are going to benefit, the margins that they are going to make out of it. I remember walking into the first store with my brand because as I said, I did 2 lines, the bulk, that's what I started with. Then I introduced my brand. It's a completely different market. But I walked into the store with the brand. I said, I have these products here and you will make a big margin, but you have to do the studies before and figure out from different shelves what are the margins. Once you've done that, you show them the margin. That's the only thing they're going to come in because everybody wants to make a bit of money. So that's the purpose of working through the business plan and having a coach. And then the rest you somehow, you manage. Once you get the first customer, you're going to be able to convince the others because you start, that's the learning process. Yeah. And I think, what was the other question? Yeah, that's it, basically, how to find the customers, yeah.
So quick question, Dr. Harnet.
Yes, all right, thank you, Pamela.
Do you guys have coach here?
Yeah, Muveni, listen. Unfortunately, because we're already beyond time, we're already beyond time, but I think in regards to coaching, the Importing from Africa program is basically a group coaching. Oh gosh, see, I'm already stumbling over my own words. So the Importing from Africa program is a group coaching program. That means you will receive coaching in a group setting, similar to as you experience here. But we can take a little bit more time, of course, because we're a smaller group. However, Pamela and Ate are also providing one-to-one coaching at a additional cost if you choose to do so. So it's entirely up to you. Yeah. Maybe a couple of things that I want to say is also that we, even as coaches, we all take very different approaches, and this is also like you can choose also from the coaches that you feel will work best for you. So Pamela, for example, she's a big believer in business plans. And I know that I have members who ask me, what about a business plan? What about the, and I am the opposite. I had never had a business plan. I put everything on a sheet of paper. And there are people like me who, who don't want to write a 50-page business plan. I have other ways, of course, to go about it, because as Pamela has pointed out, it's very important that you understand your strategy and your steps and your clients. And without that, you're just going to go into the blue and not knowing actually what you're aiming for. So a strategy is absolutely crucial. There was something else I wanted to add. I think I forgot. I forgot because we're already long overdue and I'm talking too much. All right. So yes, you can access the individual coaching as well if you wish to do so. Tupac. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to say. Sorry, Tupac, because this is also, I think, of value to some of you. In regards to the niche, on top of what Pamela has mentioned, it's also in regards to seeing what kind of trends are coming up that the market is not completely aware of. So the gluten-free trend, for example, is one that in the USA is very much in its infant shoes as compared to Europe, for example. There's a huge way to come in. Another trend that we're really seeing is carbon efficient businesses or climate change businesses that are sensitive towards climate change. Just today, my big payment platform Stripe, I got a note and it said 80% of business owners want to buy from people who are climate change aware. And do you want to sign up to the climate change program in Stripe, which is my payment platform, to contribute towards climate change solutions? We are already doing it. We're planting trees, but on top of it, I signed up for that too. So what I'm trying to say is if you were producing products and then you were saying 100% climate change efficient, maybe you're offsetting carbons for your trades or your shipments, by planting trees or letting another organization do that. You can also put something like that and say climate change efficient product. We're offsetting carbons when you buy this this product. So there's also niches of like upcoming aspects that are trending very fast in the world that you can make to your advantage. You can use to your advantage to stand out. There could be tea, and then there could be climate efficient tea trade. And you're probably going to be the first one who is the climate efficient tea trade brand in the shelf. All right, so that's also an aspect you can add. And last but not least, Tupac, and then we shall close. Tupac, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The only my question is the same like Leonie and the same like the one Muvunji. And I agree with Pamela with the business planning. I'm the person who like a business planning, but I'm leaving. First of all, I'm from Tanzania, but I'm here in Netherlands. And I have already made a research here in Netherlands. I want to go with the organic cassava flour, organic. But the challenge I have, I don't have sample. I have everything done, but I don't have samples. So I'm afraid to send that message or that email, and then maybe they will ask me for the sample. So I want to know how I can get the sample. How? This is my question. But I have already prepared everything. Only I don't have sample for cassava flour.
Right, yeah, thank you, Tupac. It's very simple. So you need to reach out to the supplier in Africa. This is the supplier from which you would like to source your products in future. And you simply ask them for samples. Usually you pay a small amount for the samples. You know, it is not a retail price. You pay a small amount for the samples. Some give samples for free, but that's rare. You actually need to pay towards your samples. And then you need to pay for the shipment of your samples. And that is actually the first kind of input that you have to make. You have to ship it, and that will cost you something. But once you have your samples at home, and they usually come by air because it's a small shipments. So they come via DHL or something similar like that. And you can have your samples within, 4 to 10 days in your house in Netherlands. And then that's it. You can reach out and you actually do have the samples. Important is that your samples are packaged in smaller quantities. So you don't want a kg sample. You want maybe a 200 gram sample or 250 gram sample. Some buyers would want to try it. So if you're saying gluten-free cassava flour, a bakery actually would want to try to bake with it. So they may actually ask in this particular instance for a bigger sample, 1 kg or 2 kg, so they can try it out. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, Tupac. You just need to reach out to the supplier and ask for samples and make the shipment happen. That's the easiest part.
Yeah, and I don't know the best one. This is the thing. Maybe from Rwanda or from Ghana or from Nigeria, the best cassava.
Yeah, so gluten-free cassava flour, some of the top suppliers, the top one in Africa is in Rwanda, is Kinazi cassava, but it's not organic. Neither are the others, because if you want organic, it means certified organic. I have not come to this point across any certified organic cassava flour. We would like to hear if you know of it, but it is Rwanda, Kenya, and Ghana who have some of the best in terms of international standards. Yeah.
Okay.
And you will find them in our marketplace as well when you join the program. All right.
Okay.
So, dear Africa Business Jumpstarters, I know this was just really a taste of the kind of training and Q&A we provide. I'm going to close I'm going to close the session in a second. But Pamela, would you like to say some final words, just generally, to say goodbye to everyone and the future of importing from Africa? Ate, I think, has already left. Pamela, please go ahead.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Oh, Ate,
yes,
it's baby.
I was checking into the house. We were driving, so we just got home now. But Pamela, go ahead, please.
Oh,
great. Pamela first, then
guys, there's a huge opportunity. I have been in the business since 2007. There's a reason why I'm still surviving in the business, because this, it just keep keeps growing. So please just step out if you have any problems. As Dr. Harnet said, we are here intentionally for that. And if you need hand-holding, then I do that in the private lessons, and Ate also does that in the private lessons. Don't hesitate at all. There's really big opportunity. It's getting bigger and bigger each day. So that's just all that I have to add for you.
Thank you, Pamela. It's wonderful to have you as part of the team, and thanks for joining. Ate is next. Is that the new generation of dads coming in?
I just want to warn you, every time she
hears
hears somebody talks, she talks too. She thinks you're talking to her. So she'll be talking back to you. Yeah. So I just want to say that for most people, this is a huge opportunity. And the African Development Bank says the African agriculture will be, I don't know, 30 billion. I can't even call those figures by 2050. And we are the ones who have to tap into these opportunities and make this happen. And the timing is perfect. Don't think that you have to do one thing or the other. You can join an existing company and do marketing. If you're good at marketing, you can join with your technology background. Not everybody would be and start a company. I see many people struggling because they want to do everything and start. Get together with others who are working. Get advice when you need it. Get a coach. This is the time, my friends. This is the time, my brothers and sisters. You just have to do it. Join the program now and get the advice you need to start. This is the end of the year too. So this is your New Year resolution. Get started, get ready, and 2022, you can give yourself some good results. And thank you very much for coming, joining. Hi, Naya, sit.
What's your email address?
Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Ate, with the new generation. And look, it's possible. African dads holding their babies, giving a business meeting, being live on TV, it's beautiful. I'm absolutely enjoying it. All right, so Ate is leading by example. I hope other dads here will follow. So yeah, email info@africajumpstart.com. Crystal, put the email in again, info@africajumpstart.com for any questions you have. And I would like to close. Give me 2 minutes to close, please. Crystal, one more time, please put in the link to join the Importing from Africa program. I also want to say a big thank you to Crystal. Please, put it in chat box. Let's say thank you to Crystal as well. She's always live. She's been my support for many years, based in Florida, originally from Jamaica. And she does the customer service for you if you have any challenges. So as Pamela and Ate have pointed out, the opportunity is great and it is becoming bigger. The opportunity in regards to doing business with Africa is growing and has been growing for years. But now we're looking at two other aspects. One is the food industry and natural skincare industry in particular, because that will be the next billion-dollar industry in the world globally, Africa's food industry. So that is an opportunity growing already manyfold. But as I have said in the beginning of the presentation, we now see a world in crisis. And we have not only the pandemic, we have a labor crisis, an energy crisis, and a crisis between superpowers struggling for the next 50 or 100 or 150 years. And that really means that we have a world in turmoil. And as a result of that, we will face a food crisis that will be increasingly felt due to climate change. When we're saying a food crisis is on the horizon, we are not just speaking about India and Africa anymore, but globally, we will see the food industry and trade around food and natural skincare products changing fast. It is an immense opportunity for you to get in, not to be felt at worry or feeling the fear about what the world and the new narrative globally is bringing, but to really step in now and to make sure that you are one that is prepared. And that always takes to get out of your comfort zone, number one, and number two, to see trends coming before everyone else sees them. And that is your time now to position yourself. So the case for trading with Africa and importing food and natural skincare products from Africa has never been stronger than it is today. It is the perfect timing. We hope you will join us, and we are really building companies at the leading edge. We're paving the world, we're paving the way for African economic empowerment and for the empowerment of yourself and your families to leave legacies and to create our own narrative for Africa. So that's it. Join us in the Africa Importing from Africa program. Last time, Crystal is sharing the link. For those of you on YouTube, you will find the link under the video after the live session has ended. And I want to say a very, very big thank you to my team and to all of you who are joining us each year and again, believing in and trusting our guidance and our programs. And we look forward to welcoming you to a new round of Importing from Africa. It's the end of the year, and let's make it happen for the next year. Goodbye, everyone, wherever in the world you are. Thank you so much for your engagement and your trust as always. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay grateful, and take action, because those who don't take action will be hit by the challenges that we're facing worldwide. So stay positive. Take care, everyone. Good night.